Hello, everyone. Welcome to another DCU Daily. We apologize for the lateness, but we had a lot to get done in little time. So thank you for your patience. We all love and appreciate you. But let's get into the show. We have so many things for you today. Lots of things, just a lot of things from yesterday into today. Boom, there we go. So the first bit of news, got to go over Robert Redford's passing. We're going to be talking about that, tributing the great actor over his 89-year-old life. We're going to talk about Superman coming to HBO Max. We're going to be discussing the first reviews for Wake Up Dead Man, the newest Knives Out mystery. Apparently it's darker and more twisted than the last. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about the Emmys. Those were a couple days ago, and we're going to be talking about that. So much Emmy news. Got a lot to get into there. And then, of course, we have a little bit of Marvel stuff with Avengers Doomsday and maybe a little bit of X-Men and that kind of thing. And then back to the Emmys, we're going to be talking about Cristin Milioti specifically. Got to celebrate our girl winning her Emmy as the role of Sofia Gigante in The Penguin. And then we got a TV Talk Terror for Alien Earth, the newest episode, got our quick hits, and then of course tons of DC news, mainly Batman Part 2 stuff, but of course talking a little bit of Superman as well. All of that and more. Let's get into the show proper and just get this party started and be enough.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the news portion of our wonderful show. I am John. Very nice to see all of you. To all the newbies and all the regulars. I mainly see regulars today, but maybe to the newbies that are a little too scared to be part of the chat, that's okay. You know, we still appreciate you. But Tony, Movie Spud, Patrick, Emo Nerd Girl, who else? I also saw Hosea, who just flashed our comment. Thank you and welcome to the chat. We love and appreciate you. And Caleb also in the chat for a little bit. Thank you for your comments. We love them. Absolutely. Well, let's see. Let's see. We do have Dan in the house. Dan in his house, his new house. Dan, say hello to the fine folks.
Hey guys, I'm here. I'm missing an audio cable, so got a mic that's not connected. So you know, things are moving along. Things are moving along, and you know, it's the virtual world because I don't want to show you what's behind me right now. For reals, it's we are here. We are here to talk about the movies, and I will gather myself as we get the show going.
Okay.
So
well, M2G thinks you sound great. So
if you guys think so, you know, when I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking about this audio cable because I just spent 3 hours looking for this thing. I found everything but what I was looking for, so I bought a new one. But you know what? That's it is what it is.
And then Dan, you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen once that thing comes in here. A day later, not even like an hour later. You're gonna find the old one.
I will. I'm sure I will. That's usually how it goes. It's it is what it is. But hey, you know what? Hunter Iggy's here. Liz will be back next week. She actually is not available this week because you know she spent a lot of her time when she was available with us the last couple of weeks. And thank you. That's a new. Have you seen? That's a new name. Did I miss that? Or Eco Rich. Have you seen your hair before? Well, welcome on into the show. Kevin Davis is here. You know what? We'll get into that later, Kevin. But yes, we do hear you. John, what's your letterboxed account, please? Says Jose, or asking Jose.
I'm not doxing myself further because people who don't know my real identity know that account, so I don't want the transferring of over. So that will remain a secret for the time being.
All right. Oh, all right. Okay, Ika, you've been here a few times. All right. Okay. It might just be because I know like we might have seen you your like with your because I know YouTube now does like usernames instead of like your screen names, so maybe that's what's causing. But you know what? Love to have you here and thank you for being in the chat. With that said, I know a lot of you guys are excited to talk about the whole Superman topic. John, however, before we get into any of that, we have to start the show off with what was sad, shocking, sombering, however you describe it. The news of the day today was the passing of Robert Redford. He's somebody who, no matter who you are, if you have ever seen Hollywood movies, if you have even seen a few of them, you probably either heard of him or you knew him or one of your favorite movies involved him, whether on screen or behind the camera, or even somebody who championed independent film and that movie went through Sundance at some point. That's all Robert Redford. His career spanned over 70 years pretty much, if I remember correctly, John. He was truly, I mean, for somebody who a lot of people who have been watching movies for a long time, a lot longer than even us, between the two of us, they remember Robert Redford's prime really being in the 70s. That was 50 plus years ago. And yet a lot of people, the only movie they remember him from is Captain America, the Winter Soldier in the MCU.
Call you out, Caleb.
So, I didn't even see that comment, Caleb, before, but but still, it goes to show you just how long and successful of a career Robert Redford had. I think most actors would kill to have a fraction of a career. Like, he had several careers worth of success. He's a legend, like Movie Spot said, a great actor. He was a great producer. He was the founder of the Sundance Institute, which puts on the Sundance Film Festival, which is one of the most iconic, one of the most important, especially when it comes to independent film at a time when independent film is just, quite frankly, getting squeezed out financially in the world of Hollywood and at large, because we have talked about how, seemingly any movie that's made for less than $100 million, other than a few exceptions, we have seen a few of those this year, it's hard to make money. So like Sundance matters more than ever. Like festivals like Sundance, Robert Redford helped found that, and of course you've seen what many other movies that he worked on. Was Ordinary People, I think he won a best director Oscar for. He's of course known for many other projects. I remember the oldest thing, and again, this is not me saying I was around back then.
Named after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. And look, 89 was a long life, like Hosea said. He was Brad Pitt before Brad Pitt. Like, he's kind of like set the tone for like the heartthrob.
My mom loved him. Loves him, still loves him. Like, no matter what, she like was head over heels, like big crush for her in the 60s and 70s. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, John, to me, like the longevity of this, like just think about this, right? The last movie role that most people remember him for, I think the last big movie role that he did at all was he made an appearance in Avengers Endgame, in one of those time travel sequences. He reprised his role from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. And then for me, the oldest thing I've ever seen him in are episodes of The Twilight Zone from the 40s. So
Twilight Zone was 50s and 60s.
50s and 60s. Well, but I'm saying and then also Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Remember those shows? The Academy aspect ratio, black and white, shot in studios. And I was like, he'd been around for that long. How do you best remember Robert Redford? As we can cycle through here, the headlines were everywhere. Passing away at the age of 89. Charismatic, a handsome, just dashing leading man who All the President's Men, Butch Cassidy, you mentioned, John, there's so many movies that he's been a part of.
The Sting was
like how do you remember Robert Redford?
Just like how do I not remember Redford with everything he's done? Like he's just had so damn much that I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot of the Twilight Zone. I haven't seen every single episode, but he did play. Ironically, he played Death in that episode that he was known for, and
that was such a mind-boggling episode too. Remember? God, like that's one of those epic Twilight Zone. That's one of the best kind of Twilight Zone episodes. Pull you in and don't let you go till the end. And that was one of those episodes. It was
The Natural. That's another excellent one. It just like he's just had so fucking much. It's just like the thing is we're gonna be dealing with this for a while. Like we're gonna be dealing with all these fucking legendary actors, that are gonna leave us. That's kind of the unfortunate part. But like with all these actors, we're gonna see more of this. And like we had Gene Hackman already. We have Robert Redford now. God knows we're gonna have so much many in the future because it's just like we're at the height of where all these legends from the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s are old men and women now, and this isn't gonna be the last, unfortunately. But as long as, well, that's the thing, Caleb. It's just like the thing is we didn't really deal with this like when he was big. There wasn't really anybody major actors dying. Well, I mean,
you had like John. I think John Wayne was around for a lot longer. I'm just thinking of the stars
like Lionel, like John Barrymore and stuff like that, and like Charlie Chaplin. But like even then, we're not dealing. The actors then didn't deal with that because movies had not been around for very long. Now movies have been around for about a century, so we're going to be dealing with all these old legends, just kind of losing them. And it's going to be sad, but it's just something you got to deal with because we're at that time. Unfortunately, we're at that time.
Hi, Steven.
So, and it's a sad time, but I mean, we will remember him for his phenomenal roles, like all the great he did, as you mentioned. And, just, God, like he's just like Great Gatsby was another one, like the original Great Gatsby,
the original Great
President's
Gatsby,
Men, 3 Days of the Condor, and
Indecent Proposal. And if you cycle through it again, we have more headlines across every. I mean, as there should be coverage about his passing. It's from Variety we looked at earlier, NBC News. I think the next one, if you want to pull up the headline for the Hollywood Reporter, and then Deadline. I think that there was also tributes coming in from across the industry and even beyond, because if you scroll down here, for example, like you look at his career in photos, it spans the decades, literally, from the black and white era, from the 60s, Moment of Fear. You've got Whispering Smith. You keep going here. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the TV show. It's kind of like Twilight Zone, but a little bit different. Twilight Zone, of course, that iconic episode. War Hunt. Some of these things, like people might have no idea what it is today, but you go back and watch these movies, and I think, well, obviously some movies are very much a product of their time. The fact that he just persevered as a leading man all throughout those eras. You're looking at just the 60s right now, then you have the 70s, and he then went behind the camera. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid we talked about. He was not only, an amazing actor, he was an Academy Award-winning director. He was a producer, founder of one of the most important organizations in Hollywood today that champions independent
Jeremiah
cinema.
Johnson, if you don't know who he is, that's the famous meme of him nodding. That's where that comes from, is this movie, Jeremiah Johnson. So,
Jeremiah Johnson. I mean, they keep going. I mean, like The Candidate, like
The Way We Were.
It's his name. The Sting. You mentioned The Sting, the original Great Gatsby before Leonardo DiCaprio. The 3 Days of the Condor you mentioned already, John. All the President's Men. Look at these. There's A Bridge Too Far. And then of course the Sundance Film Festival. I remember when the school that I went to, they had a thing where like they would facilitate students going to Sundance every year, and Sundance has grown to become one of the not just one of the most important, but also one of the biggest every year now. The festival. sequel. So if you guys haven't ever made it out there, it's in Colorado, and you guys can go and see it. Ordinary People. That's where he won, alongside Donald Sutherland. He was a director. He won his Oscar for Best Director for Ordinary People,
And
all the way
there
back
he
in
is.
1981.
There he is,
1981.
back with his Oscar. Natural. Amazing.
It must have felt like, Ben Affleck, when Ben Affleck was actually, to me, in hindsight, Ben Affleck was snubbed for Best Directing Oscar, but it would have been that if Ben Affleck had won for.
No, you're thinking of Paul Newman. Paul Newman was the salad dressing dude.
Yes, not the same person, but yeah,
not the same.
I
But
do
they
like
work together.
Michael. Dude, by the way, speaking of people who are older, like Harvey Keitel, Michael Caine. Coming back out of retirement, he's in his 90s. Clint Eastwood is in his 90s. What's Legal Eagles? What am I thinking of? John Williams is in his 90s. Sneakers, another one. Dick Van Dyke is still around. He's in his 90s. I'm like, okay, come on. Indecent Proposal. Look at him across the decades. That's already like 30 plus years.
Was nominated for. He lost to Forrest Gump, but he was nominated for Quiz Show as well.
Yeah, Barbara Streisand, and the way we all were that up close and personal. We actually have tributes from Barbara Streisand and so many other actors and celebrities across Hollywood, people who worked with him directly and admired him, and had careers. Got into Hollywood making movies because of Robert Redford. If you go across the neck, I think we have some tributes, Sean, because we could keep scrolling here. Of course, you go down the Horse Whisperer, and now you get into. The 2000s,
The Legend of Bagger Vance. Holy shit!
With Will Smith, exactly. It's so many movies, so many different movies, and then again, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jane Fonda, Barbara Streisand, Meryl Streep, and so many more. All of Hollywood. This is one of those. To me, this felt like a moment more so than any of the passings in recent years, because I feel like since the pandemic we've been having a lot of this happen. Like you said, it's just because people are like, I think Terrence Stamp recently passed away, but Robert Redford, I feel like, is a Mount Rushmore level name for Hollywood, right? Even people beyond Hollywood, like President Obama gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom back in the day. And he wasn't the only politician who, paid tribute to him. The Directors Guild, the president, of course, SAG-AFTRA, the newly elected SAG-AFTRA president, Sean Austin, they're everywhere across the industry, as they rightfully should have. And there's very few people from the time when he first started who are still around and kicking. I mean, Clint Eastwood is probably one of a few. Michael Caine from back in the day, going back to The Italian Job and stuff, all the westerns that Clint Eastwood worked on. There's fewer and fewer. You can probably count them on one hand. But I do feel like Robert Redford very much would be like a Mount Rushmore level name, right? It's just it's incomparable in so many ways, especially because he didn't just act; he did so many other things. So yeah, and if you keep going here, I think we have I mean, his career in photos, John. Just let's kind of scroll forward a little bit further. Let's get to the stuff that is relatively more recent. Spy Game. That was another one. There's Brad Pitt right there. Of course, he got his honorary Oscar from Barbara Streisand at the 74th Academy Awards as for his acting career, The Clearing. Underrated movie with Willem Dafoe, and yeah, they keep going here. Lions for Lambs. I remember watching that one, not in theaters. The Company You Keep. He did smaller movies, but All Is Lost. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there he is.
That's the one that a lot of people, will remember him for today. On the younger side, especially. Captain America: Winter Soldier. Remember, John, when Robert Redford was cast in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the MCU had officially got legitimized in Hollywood, because when Robert Redford comes to the MCU, yes, they already had Anthony Hopkins, yes, they already had Samuel Jackson, they had other actors, but it was when Robert Redford stepped in, then you got, in the first Guardians movie, Glenn Close comes in, you have some of the royalty in Hollywood coming in and taking part. It elevated the prestige of the MCU. Like Tony said, quite simply put in 3 words, Redford was Hollywood, and it's you can't talk about the movies without talking about Robert Redford. So, and then since then, he kept on working. It's not like that was his last movie. In fact, He did Pete's Dragon. That was with Bryce Dallas Howard. The Discovery, a lesser known movie. Our Souls at Night. Smaller films. The Old Man and the Gun.
Yeah, I remember Old Man and the Gun. That was his final. That was what he considered his final movie.
Yeah, and of course I mentioned it's not mentioned here, but he did have a reprisal of his role from Captain America: The Winter Soldier for that small little bit in Avengers Endgame. So I think his last screen credit is also with the MCU, with Avengers Endgame. So the on-screen career of Robert Redford concluded with the Infinity Saga in the MCU. And again, him being in the Winter Soldier. I mean, by that time, the genre of superhero movies was already legitimized. But in terms of just getting that signature, like that sign off from the Hollywood top brass, and in terms of like what you would consider the uppermost echelon of characters, actors, and just personalities who had been in and around the industry for literally decades and decades, almost a century. Robert Redford coming in, that was a huge coup for Marvel. And I think now going back and looking at it even more, you're like, it's still to this day, the Winter Soldier is one of the best things Marvel has ever done. So with that, John, I think we can talk about Robert Redford's career all day, all night, probably for weeks and months on end. But at age 89, he passes away. The news was initially released by his publicist, and then all the big outlets picked it up. It's the end of a day, but I figured before the calendar turns onto the next day, we can't not talk about Robert Redford. And I think the next time we do a Mount Rushmore segment, maybe we do a Mount Rushmore of Hollywood, I'd imagine on mine and yours, probably Robert Redford would be on there. So, guys, let us know. Of course, a lot of you watching live are in the chat, letting us know what you think about his career, how you best remember him. And so you could definitely let us know in the comments down below. If you go into some of those articles, if you search for Robert Redford, I mean, you'll be able to see a lot more about his personal family life. I don't want to go too much into that here, but we have on occasion done like these also memorable video tributes. So if you do one of those, then there'll be a lot more information about his personal life and who he was, and beyond just a celebrity and an actor, director, producer, the founder of Sundance. So let us know in the comments how you choose to, how you best remember the life and career of the one and only, the memorable, the iconic Robert Redford. As Tony said, Redford was and is Hollywood. And with that, John, I think we're going to move on to the next part of the news segment, because we have a lot of news. Of course, some of you guys were coming in hot at the very top of the show talking about it. John, we now know the highest grossing superhero movie of the year for the first time in 17 years.
Don't you mean the super flop, Dan?
No, it can't be, because for the first time in 17 years, it helped DC take the crown for having the highest grossing superhero movie of the year. Of course, I'm talking about Superman. We were all lamenting the fact that it came out early on digital, and still it topped the charts for a bit. It beat out a lot of other movies, and it wasn't like blowing records away, but it did set a few records, and it's doing really well on digital. So people are renting it, people are buying it. I bought it. I spent like $25-$30 on iTunes getting a hold of it, even though I knew it was eventually.
I'll pay physical. I'll pay for physical.
Well, I also am paying for the physical, so I'm doing both, right? But like I knew, despite the fact that it was eventually going to end up on HBO Max, I still wanted to get a chance to watch it before, because I didn't want to wait that long. However, the wait is just about over, John, because Superman, we now know, is coming to HBO Max this week. It ain't gonna be very long. In fact, James Gunn himself broke the news. If you scroll to if you go to the next one, the next headline that we have, James Gunn himself announced this. And then if you scroll down and look at his post, he was on Instagram, he was on Threads. He said, "Look, here it is. You can go into HBO Max. It's available to stream on Max on Friday, this Friday, which would make it September 19th." John. David Cornsweet doing his best Eve Tessmacher impression. What are your thoughts on this? September 19th, it comes up on HBO Max. You'll be able to basically, if you have HBO Max, not spend any more money now watching it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be watching this when it hits Friday. I'm just going to spend the entire day just watching the movie. but I can see why. I mean, it's only making like I think the last week or so it made only like 500,000 or something. Yeah, we'll see. You know, I think this is great. Like, love to see it. They realize that now it's not gonna break anything further, so they're like, okay, let's see. I think it's a shame that it's only like 2.5 months, but that's better than some other people. So you know,
Yeah. No, I mean, and Eco talking about in weeks after going on digital, Superman still has been playing in theaters, and it's still only dropping off by 40% on day to day, week to week, which is still great. I mean, yeah, the numbers are no longer like $1 million a day, but and of course worldwide it's been surpassed by F1, which I was a little bit surprised to see it, but I mean, only by a few $1 million. But nonetheless, John, I mean, Superman at this point, I think you can firmly say it's a success. We'll have to wait and see how well it does on HBO Max, because we will get to see the charts, and we'll see how well that's doing.
The Snyder cultists that refuse to touch grass and are crying in their corner, they keep saying to themselves it's a flop, so they don't, just cry themselves into a stupor. But
yeah. Emo Nerd Girl, it's your hubby's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday to Emo Nerd Girl's husband, or as she likes to call him, hubby. Happy early birthday.
Well, it's gonna be for us. It's gonna be in 9 minutes. So like
9 minutes.
like,
9 minutes. I'm sure that's you should stay up and wish him before you go to bed. Eco saying, I think Gunn wanted to maximize the number of people who have seen Superman while Peacemaker is still on, which is probably very true. If you ask him, if you really pressed him for it, that's the reason he would probably tell you. He said the same thing about, I want to have people see Superman. That's why it's coming out on digital before Peacemaker debuts. Okay, I get it, but then he also kind of contradicted himself later. So I'm not going to go down that whole, rabbit hole again. But at the end of the day, John, would you say that the strategy so far maximize profits for Warner Brothers? And I'll kind of like preface that, and DC Studio especially, because that's where this comes from. The studio makes a bigger percentage of the sales from digital than they do from the tickets at the box office. However, you would imagine there's more people who are able to go, to a movie theater and potentially see Superman than they are necessarily buying or renting it on digital. Because, for example, you need one ticket per person to go into the box to the movie theater. At home, you can, if you rent it for yourself, everybody around you in the family, everybody in the house, you can bring your friends over, can watch it. So there's arguments for both, but do you think now that we are getting past both of those windows and we're getting this on HBO Max, do you think they rushed to get to this point, or do you think they have given it enough time to make its money before it comes out on HBO?
So it came out July 11th. So that's about 2 months. So that's about 60 days. A little bit more than that would be technically 68 days. That's pretty good. Like in this day and age, it's more than, I mean, it did have the 45-day window, which is better than the 30-day window, or even less than that for some things like, like Fall Guy or something like that, or like Furiosa. And so there is that, but it did have the 45-day window, which not great, but it's better than what you would expect. And then on top of the fact, it's been 68 days since it first got released. So that's pretty good. I would say that's a pretty good in this day and age with how everything is going on, the future of cinema, future of seeing movies in the theater. That works. I feel like that works.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be one of those things where I think the more time we have with the new circumstances of like where the box office is now, let's say a year from now, for example, I think the next real big test of the box office is the next Avatar movie. If this next Avatar movie does not make $2 billion, you can either chalk it up to it's the third movie. There, the only so many ways in which you can tell that story, because it's still, the Na'vi doing the same thing again with it. It's basically like, now it's the Fire Tribe. Or, if it underperforms, maybe that's another indication of, 800 million is the new billion. And therefore,
I think he was being funny. Tony, I think he was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I think that it's somebody in the comment. Yeah, there you go. Eco saying, I heard Thunderbolts made $200 million in PVOD because they waited so long before streaming. This might mean Superman made more in a very short time. Potentially, we don't actually have access to the numbers. It's always hard to get those numbers out of the source. Even when we do get here any kind of performance numbers, it's not going to be like, oh, this is how much money they made. Even when we got those reports, was it last week, the Variety article, they're talking about how much of a profit Superman made. It was them using their industry sources to get the best guess estimate. It wasn't like Warner Brothers Discovery was putting out the number like, we made 125 million with the movie. So yeah, Hollywood accounting can, always kind of change up what the actual numbers are like. However, I mean, it's a new reality we're living in. People, not as many people are going to the movies, and superhero movies aren't as surefire of a bet as they used to be. So, yeah, exactly. And then more people have an expectation now, and there's more competition with more streaming services than ever. That people just don't go to see a movie like 4 or 5 weeks after it's come out the way they used to. So, and with shorter theatrical windows, it's all sort of just condensed down. So, well, yeah, I mean, but also, Jose, Superman and Batman couldn't even make $1 billion together at a time when they easily should have. That, I think, was more of a reflection of the quality of Batman v Superman, or at least the perceived quality. I actually recently watched it again, and I'm like, I like it, it works for me, but it was not for everybody, and I think I was in the minority with BVS. So, but as Eco is saying, it does seem that the DCU is lining them up and knocking them down fast, and that's what Warner Brothers Discovery wants to see, and that's what potentially a new owner like a Paramount Skydance would want to see. I think the better the DCU does, the better DCU Studios projects do, the more likely it is that if Warner Brothers was to be sold off, then the new owners will keep the people that are there in place because they want to, just lift them up and give them more resources to succeed rather than go in a completely different direction. And yes, to answer your question, Movie Spud, Weapons did make it to digital. I think it was last week that it came out. So, yeah, but I mean, look, it's not in our hands like you're saying, Tony. It's going to be on HBO Max this Friday. You can watch Superman if you have HBO Max. If you don't have HBO Max, then it's probably going to be on a different streaming service for you where you are. And yes, Steven, we will probably do a Halloween stream, especially if it's a weekday. I'll have to see how that works out. I already know what I would wear. I've got a costume ready to go. I don't know about John. I do love the warehouse scene, BBS.
It's on a Friday. We could do a fan cast Friday.
Ooh, okay. You know what? Maybe we need to come up with ideas for what a fan cast Friday Halloween edition would look like. So
the only thing I could think of is like the new Freddy Krueger, but like I don't want anybody else to play Freddy Krueger.
Hey, look, Eco, I did the same thing. I spent the money, but I knew I was spending the money.
I'm gonna wait.
But I was like, I'm gonna spend the money because then I have it, because then I don't have to worry about like HBO. Because also then what you can do is like I downloaded it, right? So if you're on a plane, if you're
like do some other things with that download.
Well, I know. I mean, like I downloaded it,
that kind of thing here. But like I'm just saying, like if you wanted to, you could.
Of course you could, but like I'm suggesting more if you're going to be not driving, but if you're like going to be taking the train, going to be on a plane, if you're going to be offline somewhere, you can download and watch it there. I don't know unless you have like a certain version of HBO Max that you can do that. So anyway, and look, Eco's saying he's not complaining. He enjoyed it. Yeah. And I did too. I did too. I think it was a worthy purchase and I knew what I was getting into. So yeah, and people could get just a trial to HBO Max. I think that's true for a lot of other basically anything else that's on HBO Max, Netflix, anywhere. If they offer you a trial, then you can just cut bait after a few days watching what you want to watch. And renting a movie, I think you're talking, Tony, so the $30 price tag for Superman is not to rent it, it's to buy it. So it's going to be part of your digital library. It costs less to rent.
Was like $20.
Yeah,
I think, and
it wasn't quite as high as
now
30.
That it's on like a proper streaming service. It's probably the price is going to go down. That's what usually happens.
They do, like, but usually it lags a little bit.
Yeah, it's usually $20 to $30 when it's still in the theater, but then it starts like precipitating down, and then usually then it ends up at around $3 or $4.
Yeah, and you know what? Now you can do watch parties, and the rental was $25, as Eco just confirmed. And hey, if you're a fan of the movie and you really loved it, now you can watch it again. Watch it on streaming. Watch it on HBO Max. It's just keep watching it because we gotta like pump pump the movie up, as they would say. John, with that, I think we need to move forward. You guys let us know in the comments what you think about Superman coming to digital on September 19th, this Friday. Are you going to be checking it out on HBO Max? Have you been waiting? Have you already spent the money getting it on digital? Are you going to pre-order the Blu-ray? Let us know in the comments down below. But with that, John, now let's move on to the next piece of news. Speaking of streaming, Netflix's biggest franchise running right now is, of course, you've got the Knives Out movies. You've got Daniel Craig in the lead role as Benoit Blanc. They're 3 movies into this. And Rian Johnson...
into this.
Actually, I'm using this other... That one's better. But Rian Johnson, who's getting paid literally hundreds of millions of dollars for this movie franchise. We know it's going to get a limited theatrical release before it goes on streaming on Netflix. I, for one, think that given how much money they made with what was it, Glass Onion, the last one, when it was in theaters for like a couple of weekends, they should give this a proper theatrical release because they can make a lot more money. But that's not what Netflix does. Nonetheless, John, the reviews
sometimes they do.
Yeah, but not like a wide release. Like they won't give it. They won't put it in 4,000 theaters. It's still limited, right? But that said, John, the first reviews are out. And you can see here in the headline, twistier, darker, and more emotional. One of the things I was reading earlier was talking about how it's still kind of hard watching the movie for anybody who is just watching the film to decipher the mystery. Like you can't really figure it out, like unless you are Benoit Blanc and he knows something that you don't. Which I think that's a little like weird because it's kind of like cheating. Because I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do a whodunit, the part of the fun is that people watching should be able to kind of play along and should be able to figure it out if they're smart enough, right? Like you'd see the Agatha Christie movies, like Murder on the Orient Express and stuff. Not every single one of those is a good example, but generally speaking, you could figure it out for yourself, even if you didn't watch the ending, or like if they were to stop right before the big reveal at the end. You could, potentially get it right. With this movie, it seems like, it's a little hard to believe how the pieces all fit together based on what they tell you and show you leading up to the finale. However, it seems to be a movie where it lands the finale. Like it's a worthy finale. The one disadvantage that I read also in the reviews was the supporting cast is not as memorable as the previous 2 movies, which I'm like, I get it. Like once you have Batista doing what he did in the last movie, it's going to be hard to top that, the savant actor that he was. But John, if you want to go through and read us off a few of these reviews, let's take a look at what the folks who have seen the full thing are actually saying about the next Knives Out movie.
So what they're saying about
I did.
The comparisons and all that stuff. They call it another satisfying, impossible to predict yarn featuring all the series hallmarks, predictability, terrible writing, and terrible direction, I assume. Johnson has seamlessly crafted another murder mystery that with even more delicious twists and turns than the previous 2 installments, maybe even combined. Johnson's 3rd film in the series is also one that's most full of life. It's almost his most emotional, twistier, darker, bit darker than the first 2 movies, more rooted and organic than Glass Onions, and returns us to the trapdoor of reality ingenuity of the first film. Rather than chase the chaos of Glass Onion, Rian Johnson opts for a more grounded tone in line with the first one. How does it rank? For some, at least, it might be the best one yet, the best and most complete. It's the sharpest. Although May Abdul-Baki, if I'm mispronouncing that, I greatly apologize. From Screen Rant, they say it's the weakest out of the 3. The franchise has lost some of its footing with this one, and as well as Christopher Chaubert from the film stage, they also agree that it is the weakest entry, and it's not even close. So you do have a variety of things.
I guess it depends on if you want the flair that the first 2 movies had, or if you want something more grounded, because it depends on maybe your expectation. Because if you went in expecting one or the other, then clearly this movie might have given you 2 very opposite perspectives.
Yeah. And then, much like the other films, it has very timely political climate stuff, which I don't think stuck the landing for the first 2 movies, because they were very dated for then, and they are very timely, but not in a good way. But that's just me. So some say it's a fairly... the political climate in a fairly damning way. They call it not so subtle, but is subtle in other ways. But they say he's having fun, but sneaks a winking love of spiritual inquiry. But May Abdulbaki is just giving it like to this movie. They're like, the film is trying to be reflective about religion, the draw of power and money, and the people who abuse it, but it rings hollow. So in terms of the script, he trusts the strength of his franchise to play around with format and theme. You just can feel that you're in the hands of a master storyteller. Impeccable fusion of intrigue and confession. It's stunning and exhilarating. Johnson wisely doesn't try to outsmart the audience, even though he did that in the first two movies and try to dunk on the audience whenever possible, but whatever, because the route will always lead to a screenwriter's eventual demise. Yeah, that's why the first two movies fucking sucked. With so much going on, the material's witness occasionally suffers. Abdulbaki also saying they're underwritten, which adds to the lackluster feel this movie so often gives off. It also suffers from so much narrative baggage that it fails both as the darker personal story it wants to be and as the lighter comic escapade these films usually promise. They say it's very funny, still a bit more serious than the other two, but it's still for the most part funny. And he's interested in more the spiritual than the silly and whatnot.
Yeah, and it seems like they're going darker, twistier.
Obviously, we're not going to go through.
But if you actually, John, if you click, I just sent you the link. We do have a Rotten Tomatoes score for this. It's in the 90s. It's actually quite good. Yeah, just search for Wake Up Dead Man. I believe the last I checked, it was sitting at 94%. So, and you look at the number of reviews, it's got almost 50 reviews there. And of the top critics,
if it's just the top critics,
nobody has given it a rotten. Only 3 rotten scores so far. So, 49 good reviews total, 46 of them positive. You look at the cast, John, for a second here. Beyond just Daniel Craig, of course, in the lead role, if you scroll down, you got Glenn Close there. Of course, you got Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis in there as well. And then you keep going. Josh O'Connor, of course. We've got some really, as we usually do, recognizable names. Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, Daryl McCormick, Thomas Hayden Church, the Sandman, and Ram Bergman.
I love how like, this is based around a religion. Let's get the guy named Church. Okay, we see what you fucking did there.
So 94%. It comes out later this year, November 26th to be exact. You can go see it in theaters for a little bit before it's going to end up on Netflix. That's not a bad start, John. That's not a bad start at all. For a murder mystery, it's a genre that I feel like from just a bit of a moment I thought was played out. It may yet be, because I wasn't the biggest fan of Glass Onion. Like, I felt like the first movie was a bit better than the second. However, it's one of those things where I think a murder mystery hits you well if you're in the right mood. Like, you can't just watch a murder mystery movie like just any time of day, right? Like, it's all about like what you're going and expecting. And it's kind of like one of those things where I feel like watching the X-Files at night makes it a more atmospheric watch than watching it when the sun is out in the sky, right? Like, you want to watch the X-Files in a dark environment because it's a mystery thriller, aliens, and and then obviously I have nightmares afterwards. But nonetheless, Tony's saying he gets great cast, but like the Kenneth Branagh murder mystery too, he just doesn't grab me. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like going for style over substance has been the problem of late. With some of these murder mysteries, we need a murder mystery that really, has more meat on the bone and doesn't try to, outsmart the audience, like you were saying, John, earlier. So maybe this one will make that happen. Again, we're just looking at 49 people, reviewing it so far, and so we'll have to wait to see what the people say and the audience score, and then we'll see that in a few months' time. But until then, John, it's off to a good start. It's off to a good start. Yes, Sunday Night X-Files. Yes, guys, a movie Spud and Tony. You guys remember how it was. I actually even liked the revival of it. But nonetheless, Wake Up Dead Man. It's coming out on November 26th. You guys can go see it in theaters, and then you guys can watch it on Netflix. How will you go about doing that? Are you excited that it's got a 94% score on Rotten Tomatoes? What do you think about the reviews so far? Let us know in the comments down below. In the meantime, John, of course...
Oh, shit. No fucking shit.
Yeah, Caleb doing exactly. It's about they're more about outsmarting the audience and subverting the expectations sometimes than actually making it a good mystery. So anyway, well,
boom. Okay,
yes.
I'm just gonna say this. Just gonna say this one thing in regards to Knives Out.
Mhm.
I don't like the Knives Out movies. I think they're overly pretentious. I think it's like Ryan Johnson trying to outdo the audience every single time, and he tries to prove how fucking amazing and smart he is when he really isn't. And the fucking scripts are hollow and empty and terribly written. Everyone thinks they're the greatest thing. However, if you want a good murder mystery satire, Clue all day, every day, and it's not even close. Tim Curry's performance alone is better than both Knives Out movies combined. I will die on that hill. Anyway, moving on. Let's fucking talk about the Emmys.
So I was gonna say, John, we have to. So it's been a couple of days now since the Emmys happened. The primetime Emmys.
We still gotta talk about them.
No, absolutely. Here's the thing. So it's been a couple of days since the primetime Emmys. The week before, they had the Creative Arts Emmys, which is more like the technical awards. Like at the Oscars, they will do them kind of together. But even then, the Oscars will, they'll give out a lot of awards before the main primetime show. The primetime Emmys, they, as in the name, award shows that air generally in primetime or considered like primetime shows, even if it's on streaming, like The Pit, which definitely won a few. The Studio dominating with 13 wins. John, I'm going to since this has been a couple of days, I'm gonna like do a big roundup here. So get ready to click through all of these different headlines because I'm just gonna like rapid fire and we can react to it as we go, kind of like quick hits. So let's talk about it, shall we? The 2025 Emmy Awards took place this year. Of course, The Studio came out the big winner. They got 13 wins, which is huge for a show that was just in its first year. It's rookie season, the 77th annual Emmys, and quite frankly, it's deserved. I think Seth Rogen and the whole team did an amazing job. That show is like the modern day equivalent of The Office for me in terms of the quality. And then of course it's Apple, so they gave it like all the money in the world. And with that, John, it did set a few records along the way as well. So thank you, Seth Rogen. Of course, we have to talk about it. And then if you keep going, let's keep on going to the next headline here. The Studio, like I mentioned, made history as the most awarded comedy ever. And then Seth Rogen tied for the most individual wins in one night because, of course, he was a writer, he was a producer on the show, as well as, the lead of the show. And then they're well on the way for the second season, so it's not going anywhere. Let's keep on going, though, because Noah Wyle, as I mentioned, have won for his Emmy for lead actor in a drama for The Pit. He dedicated his win to ER workers, talking about, hey, if you're going on shift tonight, then this one's for you, and it's worth it. I mean, they're also sort of setting up a new model for production. Not necessarily a new model, but maybe they went into some Hollywood graveyard and dug up an old model that used to work once upon a time and said, you know what? It wasn't broken then, it ain't broken now. We can produce a show, an entire season's worth every year. We can do it for a reasonable budget, and we can, while we're at it, shoot it all in LA. And that's what The Pit has been doing. And now a lot of other streamers and studios are trying to follow the lead of HBO with what they're doing with The Pit. So good for Noah Wyle. Let's keep on going to the next one. Enterprising is here. Hello, Enterprising. Thanks for joining in. And we are so sorry to hear that you've been sick and depressed, but we are here to hopefully help with that and let this at least be escape for you for a little while. Everybody in the chat, send your thoughts and prayers to Enterprising if you can. And yes, Noah Wyle, long overdue for a win. However, John, a few who might have been overdue will continue to be overdue because there were some snubs, there were some surprises. White Lotus got completely shut out. Colin Farrell did not win for The Penguin, and Kathy Bates Matlock also, she did not win for that. Which of these were surprises for you?
I mean, I don't think I think it's Chris Milioti's win is more surprising than his loss. Because I didn't think the comic book stuff would win major stuff. So there is that.
Yeah. And or by the way, deserve the writing one. That's absolutely.
Anyway.
The White Lotus is, I mean, you mentioned something about the White Lotus. A lot of people were saying it wasn't their best season, so it's not surprising that it did not win anything. Despite the fact that they generated a lot of social conversation, I'm not surprised that they lost out to some better other contenders in all the categories. And yeah, Colin Farrell, look, at this point, we're going to get into it later in the show. He might have another shot at this in a few years' time. But let's keep on going here, shall we? Because we have a lot more to talk about. There were plenty of tributes during the night. Felicia Rashad delivered a tribute to the Cosby Show's the actor who played the son in the Cosby Show, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who of course passed earlier this year. She mentioned he remains in our hearts. That was one of several tributes during the night. However, John, if you keep on going here, not everybody got a tribute at the Emmys. In memoriam, Hulk Hogan, Polly Holiday, and Tony Todd were amongst those left off the broadcast.
Not the
of course,
first
I do
time
tell
for Tony
you,
Todd neither, because he was left off the Oscars after
he was,
despite being dead for fucking like 6 months by that point, or probably longer.
I will also say though, like the TV Academy is so big, like they address. To a certain degree, I think what they do also, they do say you can go online and look at a more complete list. So I will give them that as an out.
The extended list too.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Okay,
he was left off the extended list because his wife was like was very upset about it, because she was very vocal about how, despite this breadth of amazing TV work, he was still forgotten in the eyes of the Emmys. So she was very upset about it, and rightfully so. He was left out of not only the Oscars but the Emmys. But no matter what, Tony Todd will live higher and faster and harder than most of the dreck that's celebrated in memoriam anyway. So
yeah, And hey, what you gonna do, brother? It looks like Hulk Hogan didn't make it into the broadcast either.
Fuck Hulk Hogan. Like,
come on. He's gonna be on. He's still on most professional wrestling Mount Rushmores. But yeah. Anyway, I was gonna say, Eco Foundation has always been an underrated show, continues to be. It's not the first time they've been snubbed, and I expect that to happen again. Adolescence, I mean, we were going into it, we were like, dude, they're gonna win some big ones. And yes, let's get into it, shall we, John? Let's keep on going, movies, but we actually will talk about the lead of Adolescence getting the deserved Emmy. But before we get there, Hannah Einbinder, she not only won an Emmy, but she also, during her speech, mentioned that Hacks will be ending with season 5, saying it's nice not to overstay your welcome. I think 5 seasons is plenty. I mean, Gene Smart, of course, leading the way in that show. That's one of the best comedies that's been on for the last few years, and Gene Smart, of course, has won several Emmys for it as well. And Hannah getting her due as a supporting actress in a comedy. So there we go.
What do you think about this, man?
I think so. I think the Foundation has done, the TV show has done an amazing job of realizing, it's kind of like Dune. Like the books are not really easy to adapt into something made for the screen, whether big or small. And I think much like what Denis Villeneuve has done for the big screen, starting with David S. Goyer and now the team that he has put in place since, Foundation has done an amazing job, and from the character work to the visuals to just completely adapting the works from the books into an amazing TV show. And if you don't have Apple TV, get Apple TV just to watch Foundation. I highly recommend it.
And don't forget,
yes,
For All Mankind too.
Yes, of course. Hannah did end her speech with some other words that were a little more political, but we're not going to get into that here. Let's keep on going to the next thing. We have to talk about some of the other reunions that happen. Of course, they always bring out actors and performers and directors, even producers from iconic shows like the Gilmore Girls, Lauren Graham and Alexis Bledel. They had a reunion joking about the show's low budget, saying we had no money. Looked hungry. Like, I think they said like there was another show across the street on a different soundstage. Like if they had extra stuff left over, they would send it to them, which I totally get. I mean, that show that you could see that they weren't working with the biggest of budgets, and it was shot out completely, almost completely on studio backlots, and very much made to look like, hey, Nelson, hello. It was made to look like, parts of Connecticut. Actually, I think Liz the other day mentioned that she knows exactly the towns in Connecticut where the show is, like, it's meant to kind of model after. And I just love the look. It's just one of those shows where you wouldn't think I would be a big fan of Gilmore Girls. I absolutely love the Gilmore Girls, and that's the first time I saw Sean Gunn as Kurt. There's so many other iconic moments in there, and the fact that it took place in Connecticut, it's like that one of those Wayans brothers comedies that took place in what was it, Stamford, Connecticut, they were meant to be in or something. I forget which one, but you guys tell me there was one of the Wayans brothers had a sitcom that was basing it. I'm like, anytime it's like, you know what? It's like, that's where we live. Like I'm like that. It's like, we're in Toronto. That's where we live. Yeah. I'm doing my best rock impression. But anyway, they have aged well. They look great. Thank you, Tony. If you're commenting about me and John, then yes, but I'm sure you're talking about Alexis and Lauren here. So let's keep on going, John, because that wasn't the only reunion that we got on the night, because we did get to see Everybody Loves Raymond stars Brad Garrett and Ray Romano on screen. Brad Garrett telling Ray, the next time I'm on the Emmys, it will be in memoriam. But I mean, look, honestly, Everybody Loves Raymond is one of my absolute favorite sitcoms of all time, because I'm like, it's about an Italian family, but I'm like, my family is not Italian, but it might as well be, because I totally get it. And I'm still like, remember what Patricia Heaton, what was the name of the actor, the who played Marie? Why am I forgetting? She was one of the most iconic actresses of all time. I forget. Remember when I think she passed away a few years ago, and
Doris Roberts.
Doris Roberts. Oh God, she is one of the best TV characters. Peter Boyle, yes.
Young Frankenstein. Hello.
God. And he was in the X-Files too. Remember, he had a few X-Files.
He was the actual psychic during the episode with the fake psychic. I remember that. I remember that specifically.
Yes, Doris. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Oh God.
But it's just like,
it's crazy.
It is funny how Brad Garrett. I saw the clip of Brad Garrett. He's like, "Did I make it? Did I make it this time?" And I'm like, well, Tony Todd sure as hell didn't. So I gotta remind people of their mistakes. Hopefully they won't do it next time. But it's great to see Brad. I will say Brad Garrett has aged very gracefully. Like, it's just like, you don't think like, oh, Brad Garrett, he's like the weird guy from it. But like, in terms of like, he hasn't like done anything. I mean, to be fair, Ray Romano has also looked.
Oh, come on! There's another Ice Age movie coming out, John. Ray Romano is doing things.
No. I mean, he's also aged very well. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yes. No, you're right. You're right.
No, Ray Romano's doing. He's making.
Amazing.
He's making Woolly Mammoth movie.
Remember, he was in that Kumail Nanjiani movie. He was the father-in-law. What?
Yeah, The Big Sick, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes.
It's like. I don't want to do Ray Romano because it's gonna sound like
it doesn't work.
It's like, how can you hate Forrest Gump? It's the greatest friggin' movie ever. Like,
I also, dude, I love Robert's thing of just like the whole thing
true.
of like
Brad Garrett is the original Lobo. That is true. I still think, I will say this, because there was that horrible Munsters movie that came out a couple years ago. Terrible movie. I'm just like, who would have made a perfect Herman Munster? Brad Garrett. He would have been perfect. He was born to play that role after Gwyn, the original Herman Munster. I'm just gonna say like that. I'm never gonna ever be able to say that, but like, he would have been perfect. Fuck you, Rob Zombie, for making a garbage ass Munsters movie. Like, Addams Family, they just get great shit after great shit. I feel so bad for Munsters fans. Like, Addams Family, they just get a tirade of great content, and then Munsters fans just have the original show, and that's it. Everything that came after was garbage. So it's just like,
You know what I will say though? I feel like one of the best things Brad Garrett has done of late are like those Jimmy John's commercials where he's like the mafia boss. I'm like, yes, I love it. Fred
Gwynn. I was like, Edmund Gwynn. I'm like, no, that's the Santa Claus from Miracle on 34th Street. Fred Gwynn, legend. Love me, Fred Gwynn. Awesome actor. Great actor. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Great actor. Anyway, sorry.
Man, it's like Doris Roberts, rest in peace. It's she was so. I mean, Everybody Loves Raymond is a comfort food show for me in a way that feels wholesome. And it's not just comfort food; it's like it makes it just automatically lowers your stress levels.
I remember I would watch all these shows at like Nick at Night whenever I would stay up and like be like doing homework.
It's like this show gets me.
It's
You know?
everybody hates Chris. Everybody loves Raymond. George Lopez's show.
George Lopez, dude. And then the last few years they were doing reruns on
Family
Nickelodeon. It would
Matters.
come at
Family
like
Matters
4
is
a.m.
another one I used to watch a lot at Nick at Night.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff.
I got this. I can't even do that. I'm gonna strain my voice if I try to
Did I do that?
By the way, Brad Garrett, I think, could still play a great character in the DCU. I just don't know who specifically you would get him as, John, or even the MCU. I don't know, like if there's a particular character. He probably wouldn't be leading his own movie.
He would have to be like a comedy-driven character.
Yeah,
I feel like, because that's what he does the best. Not saying he can't do drama, but
yes. If maybe Mr. Freeze, that could potentially work if you want to do a Bane. Hi, hello, Bane, by the way.
He is a Munsters fan. Like literally, his first big hit as a solo artist was about the Munsters. Like Dragula is, it was Grandpa's vehicle in that one episode of the Munsters. Like he is a Munsters fan. He just made a very shitty movie about the Munsters. So I believe him, but he just didn't do a good job of that.
You know what they should do? They should have Ray Romano and Brad Garrett play like brothers, but they're like aliens. Kind of like, in the Guardians movies, how Benicio del Toro and, what am I forgetting? Jeff Goldblum's characters are meant to be brothers. The Collector and, what was the Jeff Goldblum's character in Thor Ragnarok?
Grandmaster.
Yeah. I'm like, I need something like that. But I mean, James Gunn is no longer there, and Taika Waititi is probably not making another Thor movie. So I don't know if there's somebody wacky enough to do that. But anyway, let's keep on going here. We have, of course, a lot of other stuff from the Emmys that we got to talk about here. Again, like I mentioned before,
great thing for this.
Going from like the looking back at some legends who graced the small screen for a long time, we go to one who's just arrived on the scene. Owen Cooper became the youngest Emmy winner ever for supporting actor in a limited series. I think Movie Spud mentioned it earlier. Adolescence broke all kinds of records for Netflix and streaming in general, and I think it was pretty obvious that he was the favorite to win in his category. And here we go. He won it. Owen Cooper deservedly so. John, were you surprised at all that he won? I mean, of course, the youngest Emmy winner as well in supporting actor in a limited series category.
I remember when this came out, I heard nothing but fucking amazing things about him. Stephen Graham, we'll get to him soon enough. So, this was not a surprise. The only thing I would maybe be surprised about is because we talked about this for the Oscars, and so it's also a thing for other awards as well.
Tony always getting all the important stuff in there. There you go.
Yes, he got a good look. Anyway,
okay,
but
great.
So, so there is I forget what the wording was, but it was the recency bias. That's the word, the recency bias. But this came out quite a few months ago, so I didn't think. The only thing I'm like, okay, this is hot now, but will it be hot when the Emmys are airing? So I'm like, when the Emmys they're doing their voting, that's the thing. I was like, that was the only concern I had, because I'm like, oh, this is probably going to win it, and we think it's going to win it, but then we also all thought that Conclave was going to win the Oscar, and then that went to the fucking Cinderella story nudie picture. So it's like there's that. So it's like, okay, great, but. I'm glad that it still managed to break through that kind of recency bias, and young Owen Cooper. I'm sure I haven't seen the show. I've heard great things about it. I'm sure he did an excellent job. So I'm happy that he won, and yeah, so I'm very happy for him, and and the other actor that we will get to soon enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Owen Cooper deserved it. Like you said, it wasn't even the recency bias at that point. It goes to show you that he legitimately deserved it. And it wasn't just people voting for the show that had just come out and was the next big thing. By the way, M2G, we will get to talk about the Demon Slayer box office from the weekend and the quick hits part of the show. So do stick around for that. We will get to that after we have a few other pieces of news there. Yeah. All right, let's keep on going here. We have a few other records that were broken. Of course, some really important ones, and not the least of which was Tremel Tillman becoming the first black man and the first black gay man to win supporting actor in the drama category for Severance.
Congratulations.
So Tremel Tillman, of course, you know, he had probably the best line spoken on television.
Nobody's talking about it now.
John, Tremel Tillman as Mr. Milchick had the best line in all of TV last year, or this year rather. It was devour feculence. It means eat shit. I'm like, put that on a t-shirt. Devour feculence, and then it means eat shit. I would buy that shit, literally. So it's amazing. I would say, in terms of for a character you meant to hate, he's given it a lot of, you know, shades of gray.
I will say, speaking of memorable black characters saying eat shit, it does remind me of Octavia Spencer from The Help, where she bakes that pie, and she's like,
yep,
my shit. And like, once you said that, I'm like, I immediately thought of that.
Yep.
No, great scene.
And you know what? That Mission Impossible movie wasn't the best, but I did think Tremel Tillman did a good job.
I thought it was really
I mean,
good.
It was kind of funny because like every time he was like Mr., he just kept calling, you know, Tom Cruise Mr. the whole time. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll go with it. This last one is a little on the kooky side.
Just like his vibe,
It works.
That goes to show how great. Like, even though I have only seen one thing from him, I have not had the opportunity to see Severance. I know, blah blah blah. I need to watch everything again. $1 a day, guys. $1 a day. But it's just,
where the super chats at? I'm just kidding.
It just really goes to show, even though he was in the movie for not very long, he was like, okay, I'm in this movie for what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm gonna make that fucking greatest 10 minutes of my goddamn fucking career, and you're gonna remember me. And guess what? He's the most memorable character in that movie outside of the main cast, like 100%. Like, I remember like almost every line of dialogue from Tremel Tillman's character. I don't even remember the dude's name. I just remember Tremel Tillman. He just did.
Did he even tell? Yeah, he had a name. He had a name.
He just did that. Like, that goes to show, like, this guy. Even without seeing the show, this is probably most definitely deserving. Like,
and
I'm sure it is. Like, it genuinely is. I just can't say.
No, he deserves it for sure.
I have not seen the show, so I can't judge on that respect. But I know he's a great actor just from that one role.
He's somebody who I think, just having watched both seasons of Severance, for a character you're meant to hate, who's plays somebody who's meant to be very stoic, he comes across as one of the more memorable, you know, characters. Not only because he has this understated gravitas to him, but he's also just oozing with charisma. Even in the moments when, you know, he's not doing much, he's doing a lot without doing much at all. Like, whether it was emoting with his face, with his physical presence. And then, of course, there's those the dance sequences and stuff that are iconic from both seasons. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, Ben Stiller has had this amazing vision for the show, and I think Tremel Tillman as Mr. Milchick has been one of the most wonderful parts of it. Season 2, you get to see a whole different side of him that we hadn't yet seen, and then moving forward, I hope season 3 continues to just build on that. All right. So Patrick saying apparently. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be people who are disappointed, and a show like Severance has a lot of people who are very passionate about it, much like Marvel, Star Wars, and stuff, and DC even. So, but that said, look, Tremel Tillman becoming the first black man, the first black gay man as well to win supporting actor in drama category for Severance. Well deserved. Very, very well deserved. And you know what? Now him and I have something in common. So cool. I was waiting to bring that on at the right moment. I don't know if that was the right moment or not, but there it is. It's a lot bigger than it looks on TV.
For the end, but whatever you want to do. It's your award.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I'll work that in a few other places. Let's keep on going. I actually have one on the way. You know, like
going back to Adolescence. Yeah. I mean,
Adolescence.
Cooper was not the only one who won, but Tony Randall doesn't.
No, it's the real deal. It's the real deal. Look, there's right here.
Hold on, I'll zoom into this.
You'll zoom into this. Oh. See, it's backwards, but you know you can read. It's real deal.
No, we can see it. We can see it.
Can you see it? Okay, there you go. See, cool. This is actually from a few years ago. This is from pandemic times. I worked with NBC Sports for the Olympics. That's what it's for.
Yeah, so
And
suck it, Tony. Just kidding.
thank you, Nelson. Actually, yeah, and then there's actually, like I said, there's a more recent one as well, which I don't have with me. So cool. Yeah, it is a good green screen, isn't it? It's a good green screen. It cuts off my hands and everything. But it's all good.
Everybody's celebrating you. Yeah, because you've shown that off like months ago when all the.
It's been a while. I don't show it off enough because when I actually don't have it up on a shelf anywhere in my house. I just have it like I put it back in the box.
In the background or something, but you know.
It was all the sports. It was all the sports of the Olympics. It was so that's what it was. Anyway, thank you. Impressive. Yeah, well, they were long days. It wasn't for best stream category. I think the exact category was outstanding interactive experience event coverage, and it was the games of the 30-second Olympiad. Anyway, whatever.
I have a good back scratcher.
Yeah. It's the one I'm holding is for Tokyo, and then the one that I don't have in my hands right now will be the one for Paris. Paris being the last summer games. So.
Do you have an Oscar, Dan? Patrick is
I can't. I can neither confirm or deny. I will let you guys know when the time comes. So, but thank you, Nelson.
No,
yes, that is.
Dan's going for an EGOT. He just needs to
potentially
be on the theater, be in the movies, and just make a rap album.
I can write music. I can compose. I can totally do that.
Hey, Dan. Apparently, according to the Grammys, all you need to do is make an annoying earworm to fucking shove in everyone's faces for 6 months, and then you'll win a Grammy.
Apparently that's all it takes. Hello, Monique. How are you doing? Happy Tuesday. We do have Tier List Tuesday coming up after this show, so we're going to talk about MCU Phase 3.
With that one, I want to try and go to sleep before.
Yes, no, totally. Me too. All right. Well, let's keep on going with Stephen Graham here, winning limited series actor Emmy. John, this was interesting. Of course, for adolescents, he won this, saying doesn't normally happen to a mixed race kid like me. Now, this is interesting not because I'm like criticizing like what he said. I'm just saying like I wouldn't looking at him not knowing his background, know that he's a mixed race kid. And again, I don't know how that figures. I think maybe culturally it's more relevant in the UK because he does have Jamaican heritage on his father's side. But that's another one of those things where you don't get to see that very often. And Stephen Graham, again, not just the only actor from Adolescence. We just talked about Owen Cooper, also won for Best Supporting Actor. Were you surprised to see Stephen get the award? And
no.
Do you think he deserved it?
Again, I can't say whether or not he deserved it because I have not seen the show. But I mean, from what I've seen of him, he's a great actor, so I think he's deserving of an award. I just can't judge specifically the performance he did have in Adolescence because I have not seen that show.
Yeah, and like Tony was saying, definitely getting his due. He's been in the business for a quarter century and finally getting an Emmy for a role that definitely broke through the noise in a way that I think very few shows do today, even especially for Netflix too. Netflix has so many things. My karaoke go-to, I do like Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. That's always good. I'm a Boston sports fan, so I know that I've heard that play on in a lot of arenas, watching Celtics games, Bruins or so. It's just that's why I like that one. But yeah, let's keep on going here. Yeah, Snatch was Steven's first movie. There you go. It's been a long time. He's been around for a long time. But you know what, John? Also, Hotel California is another good one, Tony, for a karaoke go-to. But somebody else has been around for a long time, but perhaps maybe for not much longer, John. Stephen Colbert. He came up with the rest of his cast and crew to accept the Late Show getting their Emmy. But of course, CBS has canceled the Late Show, coming to an end in just months' time. Stephen Colbert got a huge chant from the crowd, yelling "Steven, Steven" before he can even say anything. Gave him a standing ovation. His speech itself was very memorable, inspirational, and at the end he kind of said like, "Hey, oh, and by the way, if any of you guys are hiring, I'm available." I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but that was always fun. I thought that was one of the more enjoyable parts of the night. And Stephen Colbert, I think his style of what he has done with the Late Show is different, obviously, from what we got before. But I really enjoyed it. I still think it's kind of weird, like the circumstances of the cancellation. I do understand that, you know, the economy just of scale with late night shows just doesn't support that anymore. But he will probably get to Netflix.
If Zack Snyder can get a Netflix deal, anybody can get a fucking Netflix deal. All right. So, you know.
And I agree with you, Enterprising. It was a very, inspiration speech. And if he does get a deal with Netflix, then I think it will be very much deserved. Very much deserved. And yeah, apparently Comedy Central is looking for a permanent host. That would be like a full circle moment. I don't think he's interested in going back to Paramount CBS at this point, but maybe things will change. You know, crazier things have happened. I do personally, actually, if you want to watch the full entirety of a late night show, I personally enjoy what Stephen Colbert brings to his entire format versus Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. Not saying they do a bad job. I just personally have a preference for Stephen Colbert, so I am going to miss it. And of course, I think that, you know, getting the Emmy not only deserved but also really timely, and as was the speech that Stephen gave. So with that, John, let's keep on going. Are we coming to the end on this roundout, or do we have a few more things?
All right, this is the last thing.
All right.
We can't. We're not that good. No.
Maybe one day, maybe one day. We aim high, and Nelson, thank you for setting that as the goal. Who watches late night shows? I watch it. I watch the clips on YouTube. You know, I sometimes I try to watch. I try to catch it.
I don't care if you're trolling, bro. That is the best username I have fucking seen. Period. Please stay around because that is fucking amazing. I love it. I love it so much.
John, aren't we like technically a late night show at this point? Like, we are a late night show, right? Like, you guys are watching us instead of watching the late show was probably on not that long ago anyway. But that was it for the Emmy rundown. So guys, let us know what was the most memorable part of the primetime Emmys for you guys this year. We would love to hear from you. And then with that, John, let's move on to some Marvel news, of course, because as we do on the show, we usually give you the latest updates from the world of the MCU. And today, there's a rumor going about from one of the usual suspects, Daniel Rickman. John, he was suggesting that Avengers Doomsday is set to wrap production this week, some point this week. Now, again, you can classify this as a rumor because Daniel, Rickman isn't necessarily, he's not breaking news. He's not working for one of the big, trades, but he does tend to get things right more often than not. Do you believe what he's saying here? Because Doomsday has been filming since April, I believe, if I'm not wrong. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense, like, because what would that be? Like April, May, June, July, August, September. That's like 6 months of filming for a movie of this scale. The timing adds up. What do you think? Do you believe what he is saying here? Are they wrapping up Doomsday? It's also kind of hard to tell to a certain degree because Doomsday and Endgame, or not Doomsday, and Doomsday and Secret Wars are shooting back to back, but also potentially they might be overlapping certain things because if they're shooting at certain locations, they might do it for both movies and then move on, kind of thing. So I don't know how true this is, unless what this means is that literally everything they needed to shoot for Doomsday is now officially going to be done, and they'll keep filming stuff for Secret Wars. What do you think, John?
I mean, this makes sense, like, for various things, because, like, 6 months, like, what was it? Superman it was February, the very end. It wasn't really February. It was more like March until July, which was 4 months. So, that makes sense. 4 months, 6 months, especially something this big with this many characters, that makes more sense. Even though I don't really trust Scoopers, I trust Daniel Rickman a little bit more than the other guys. Same with Daniel RPK. But
wait, are they not the same guy? Am I confusing this? I thought it was the same dude.
Two different guys.
Two different guys? All right. Well, there's two Daniels. Breaking news. Daniel Rickman is
at least I think they are. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. But
I'm gonna look this up. I feel like I had. Anyway, continue.
Because we see Daniel RPK and then Daniel Rickman like two different times. So,
no, he's the same person.
Oh, he is the same person.
RPK is his like Twitter handle. So
okay, because I see RPK and Rickman in two different like things. So it's like, oh,
No, because sometimes people quote him using his username, and then sometimes they use his name. So
anyway, sorry, Daniel Richtman / Daniel RBK.
Yeah.
I trust him a little bit
Dan
more
is the
than
only
other
Dan.
people.
Pause.
So I just think here's the thing. While I don't necessarily believe a scooper all that much, it just makes logical sense that they will be done filming sometime soon. So, I think probably they filmed a little bit for Secret Wars because they're probably going to be doing that soon. So there's probably going to be some reshoots, maybe like a couple weeks, maybe a month of reshoots, and then they'll be done. So it just makes logical sense, like that they'll, have these, have this be finished filming. So like, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense to me. It's the timeline adds up.
Thanks, Nelson.
Like when you guys were mentioning,
but like, thanks.
Like when you guys were mentioning, they're probably gonna go back for reshoots at some point, maybe even while they keep filming Secret Wars. But it's believable. The timing works out. I mean, even if Daniel Richtman is just taking a shot in the dark, I mean, he's probably not that far off the mark. So whether they do finish filming this week or not, I don't particularly mind, because that doesn't mean like the movie's gonna come out any sooner than it is. We still have to wait till December 2026 for the movie itself. So until then, Avengers Doomsday, it looks like it is officially, or not officially, unofficially, supposedly, reportedly, according to the rumor from Daniel Richtman, or reporting from him, Avengers Doomsday wrapping up production at some point this week. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. But John, that's not the only piece of Marvel news that we have today. If you move on to the next thing here.
Correct. We have this thing in regards to Avengers Doomsday.
Now, this is a bit of catching up to do, because this came out around the same time as all that other stuff from Shanghai, that the Disney marketing event that they did there, and we got our first official look at the costume of Doctor Doom in the MCU.
I think
and
we
then they
discussed
also
that, Caleb.
We did. Well, I mean, John, you definitely did. I don't know if I was on that show. I will say that it definitely fits in with the vibe of what they announced initially with Robert Downey Jr. You can kind of see hints of a Doctor Doom that's both going to be very technologically savvy, but also a master of magic, or the dark arts, if you will. So I like the design. There's only so much digging in you can do into it. I've seen a lot of content built around it, people over speculating, going way too into the weeds of it. I don't think the costume we're getting, we have seen in these photos is potentially going to be the final one in terms of all the design elements, because there's always room for them to tweak things. And even in post-production, like in Avengers Endgame, they gave them these time travel suits that were not even used on set. So we have already seen they've changed a few things, or we have heard they've changed a few things around while filming the movie. So for all we know, this won't be the final design. However, the one that we are getting, it is pretty good. I like it. It's comic accurate, as comic accurate it could be, because comic accuracy could mean a million different things, because there's been so many iterations of Doctor Doom's costume. It's changed, the design has changed with different writers and illustrators. So John, with that though, we gotta say goodbye to emo nerd girl, who was staying up to wish her hubby a happy birthday. Happy birthday to your hubby, emo nerd girl, and we hope that you have a good rest of your night. Tony saying Doom is killing and collecting gear from across the multiverse. Hell yeah, you can definitely see that. It's kind of like put together a little bit. But John, let's talk about the synopsis, because it reveals Doom's plan. It's not a very long one, but the logline reads, and this again comes from that Disney event in Shanghai, the marketing event. Doctor Doom has officially arrived in the MCU. This villain, a master of cutting-edge science and powerful magic, will unleash a cascading crisis across the entire multiverse. John, does it tell you any more than what you probably already knew about the movie? And does it make you more or less excited for Avengers Doomsday?
I will say this. I mean, I'm still not going to see this garbage. Fuck no. But like, I will say this. I will appreciate one thing about this thing, and that is this little highlight right here. Powerful magic. They are finally making Doctor Doom, after fucking 20 years of not being that on the big screen. They're finally making him a proper sorcerer, because that's how he got his face scarred. That's how he, why he wears the fucking, mask and suit and everything. It's, he's technically a sorcerer. So I'm glad that they're finally doing that. If this is to be believed, then sure, I like that. I don't think the movie's going to be good, and I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. will try his best, but I don't think it doesn't really matter for me. I'm not going to see this, so but it's nice that they're finally actually doing that properly. Yay.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's also kind of interesting because the Spider-Man costume that they use here has sort of changed from some previous marketing we saw, and it's also not quite the suit that we have seen from Tom Holland on set. So like I said, the costume design will probably be a little altered for when we do get to see him in the movie. He might even have multiple costumes, but like you said, John, the magic part, bringing that back into, or probably introducing it for the first time in the live action Doctor Doom, is going to change him from having been nerfed, as Caleb was saying, in more recent iterations. But with that, John, I think we have a little more to talk about from the world of the MCU, because speaking of Avengers Doomsday, John, Alan Cumming, who potentially gave away some spoilers when he was filming the movie, or filming his parts of the movie, even though he mentioned that he had shot most of it on green screens and not with other actors around. He recently had a television appearance. He was asked about, hey, how was your experience filming Avengers Doomsday? And then he was asked, are any of the other actors coming back? Are we getting, we've sort of heard that Halle Berry is not coming back as Storm? And John, the response that Alan Cumming had, he might have spoiled a few things, because we were all wondering, are we getting a Storm? We're getting all the other seemingly all the other classic Fox X-Men. But when he was on ET, he was asked about it, and of course he's doing the Traitors, the US version of the Traitors, which is going to have a new season coming up soon. So he's got a lot going on. And the response that Alan Cumming had to that question about Halle Berry potentially reprising her role as Storm for Avengers Doomsday was, well, maybe she does, and kind of open-ended. But as Caleb is saying, John, is Alan Cumming at this point leaking more stuff out about the upcoming Avengers movies than even Tom Holland would have if he was even in the movie, that is.
I mean, I think this is just him being vague. Maybe she does. I don't know. Maybe. I just don't think it's, I don't think nothing will be Tom Holland levels of bad. Nothing will be Tom Holland levels of bad. So I think it's just him being maybe, sure. Kind of like what James Gunn does, where it's just hey, so are you going to be doing these certain things in the DCU? Yes. And it's just that's it. And he just doesn't answer the question, or no, or just or something well, maybe if we do this, it'll be this thing and the other thing. And it just James Gunn casts confusion because, he's just, let's just confuse people so that they stop answering questions. So yeah, I just think, I think this is just Alan Cumming being maybe, because maybe is not an answer. Maybe is just maybe. That's not a yes. That's not a no. I think he's just, keep that shit to yourselves and wait for the fucking movie to come out. So,
yeah, no, you're probably not that far off the mark. Again, it's like I said, he's pretty much leaving it really open ended. So, I know Patrick's more excited about Supergirl, but hey, Avengers Doomsday is it will be the higher grossing movie next year. JC here saying, how is everyone feeling about Warner Bros. Discovery finally getting sold off? As I've been saying would happen forever. Writing is on the wall. We'll get IP sold off or a whole new reboot of every IP in the catalogs. I don't think that's all going to happen necessarily. I think if Paramount Skydance buys them out, which they're still looking at exploring a bit, a very cash-rich offer, so it would likely pay off a lot of Warner Bros. Discovery's debt. The goal would be to try to elevate what they get, because David Ellison wants to tell stories, make movies, and make cool stories. He's not really somebody who's going to buy it and sell it for parts. But you're not the only one. A lot of people have speculated that that's maybe what they were angling for. That's why they're looking at a split next year, because it makes the new Warner Brothers that would come out of the 2026 split much more friendly to an acquisition. So Bane, though, talking about going back to the topic on hand, Ask this man, ask Alan Cumming questions, and this dude leaks more than a broken pipe. There you go. Well, hey, Avengers Doomsday, whether we get Halle Berry or not, I personally think if we do, that would be a bonus on top of all the other actors that are coming back, including Patrick Stewart. Of course, we also have... why am I forgetting? Rebecca Romaine is coming back, and of course, Ian McKellen. I just hope we also get to see, as much as I know John, you're not necessarily a fan of Hugh Jackman returning again. I would like to see maybe even a glance of his Wolverine still hanging about somewhere in the background. So with that, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you think about all of that Avengers Doomsday news, rumors, reports, potential hints. Which ones are you most looking forward to? Which parts of the movie do you believe that they are going to be finishing filming Doomsday this week? Do you think Halle Berry is going to be in Avengers Doomsday after all? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. There was also a rumor, by the way, that apparently Marvel is going to try to hold off on revealing any more actors in the movie. So, the hint that there will potentially be more surprises to come. We just will probably not get to hear about them before the time comes. So, that is for the movie to come out. So with that, John, let's move on to the next thing. Do we have more news to get into? I feel oh yes, of course. How can I forget? How can I forget? John, let me kind of set the stage here.
Oh, sorry. You changed all the stuff at the bottom. Now I can't
It's in the middle. I moved it around. I'm sorry. I should have let you know beforehand. But let me set the stage here before we even get to the article here for a moment.
Okay.
I got a text from Liz saying, you both got a text saying, did you hear our girl won? And then I was messing with Liz, and Liz was like, I'm not going to lie to you. I might have cried when I saw this happen. And quite frankly, if you watch back, the reaction that Cristin Milioti had, because she was nominated for, of course, Best Supporting Actress in a limited series, and she got the award. She won. She was clearly surprised. She did have a speech prepared, but it was on the back of her notes from her previous therapy session. So, there's I don't know what that necessarily says. It's certainly on brand for the character that she played in Sofia Gigante. So Cristin Milioti, as we see here in Variety, wrote her Emmy winner speech on the back of her therapy notes saying, don't look at the back. She was probably the most memorable reaction to a win at the Emmys. I feel like this past weekend, John. Are you surprised? Yeah. Because this was definitely the highest profile Emmy that the Penguin picked up. It picked up quite a few, but the majority of them it picked up at the Creative Arts Emmy. This was the real big standout. I don't remember if this was. I think this was the only one that the Penguin won this past weekend. So at the primetime Emmys, Tony is glad that she won. John, what do you think about Cristin Milioti winning for Best Supporting Actress in a limited series for the Penguin, a DC show and the new DC Studios, the Bex universe, as it were?
I mean, as to the person that said the Penguin ain't gonna win shit at the primetime Emmys, first off, for the person who commented that last week, go fuck yourself. Second, I am very happy for Cristin Milioti. And I'm glad, I like how she had a very human reaction, cause it's just you get you kind of get there's the flustered or the very hello, I am here, I won the Emmy, hello, it's just very boring, or they filibuster. It's just it's all kind of bullshit. But this felt like a very nice human. I just her dress is just fucking weird though, but I just can't stop staring at it just looks wrong to me. But I liked the human reaction, woohoo, I won, yay. I felt that was very nice and very, very good to see. So very happy for her.
Yeah, we actually, and I think her speech was really good too. And yeah, it was great writing in the show. Like Dark Elite Eric saying, she killed the role. And she killed a lot of people in the show too. Yeah. She did, but well deserved. And Tony is man, Tony is in his old man Logan mode right now. Speaking of which, but I did want to play this for you guys.
Lauren LaFranc, whose brain I want to freebase. Thank you so much. I'm so profoundly grateful. I thank you so sorry. I wrote this on the back of notes that I took in therapy the other day. So don't look at the back. I loved making this show, and I loved playing Sophia so much, and it's very hard to make sense of being alive right now in this world, and so I'm deeply grateful for the bright spots and making this show with our incredible cast and incredible crew, and getting to inhabit this woman was a bright spot for me, despite it being like very grisly. Playing her felt like flying, and so, oh my God, are you kidding? Wow, okay, this really speeds. All right. I want to thank my incredible family. They're here tonight with me. Thank you for supporting your strange kid and showing me movies that were very inappropriate for my age. I want to thank you. I want to thank Lauren LaFranc, whose brain I want to freebase. She is the reason our show is so special. I love you and I love acting so much.
Carry an award to television.
Very nice to see.
Yeah.
Very nice
Yep.
to see.
Yeah, look, she, like you said, very authentic. I think the dress was amazing. She's as always looking beautiful. Free base, I had to look up what that meant. It's very much, it seems like a one of what the kids will say these days. But that all that said, yeah, it definitely gave that Sally Field energy, like Monique was saying. And John, as we see here on screen, that added to the haul that the Penguin had already picked up from the previous weekend's event, adding to it and coming away from the Emmys this year with a total of 9 trophies. And 9 of these. You can see how big this one is. Like, there's 9 of those. That can fill a shelf. Outstanding lead actress, of course, at the very top of the pile, Cristin Milioti. Outstanding original score, outstanding prosthetic makeup, outstanding contemporary makeup. Then he got more for contemporary hairstyling, sound mixing, sound editing, contemporary costumes, and special visual effects. Of course, 8 out of those 9 were from the Creative Arts Emmys the weekend before, because there's so many awards to give out. They do split them into multiple shows. But yeah, actually, freebasing is from the 80s. There you go. Thank you, Monique. I thought it was one of those new things, but there, I guess it's the opposite. The Penguin, John, picked up a total of 9
You know
Emmys.
what, Dan? I think you're thinking of microdosing. That's like a new new thing. So
Got it.
It is.
Well,
how I know that.
Okay. I won't. But how do you take the Emmys haul that the Penguin has picked up? It's just it could be the only season we get, but like maybe more.
Prosthetic makeup, that's very much deserving. Like, I will say that. So score. Giacchino hasn't won an Oscar yet, but at least his son won an Emmy, so that's saying something. At least somebody in the Giacchino family won fucking something, but even though Giacchino has deserved it for God knows how long, so but still good stuff.
No, fair enough. It's impressive. It's impressive all around. I think one of the best shows from this past year, and it's getting its due. It already picked up quite a few other trophies earlier in the year with the award season, but the Emmys are usually a few months behind. Certainly no recency bias. It's been a year since the Penguin aired, so I'm glad that it got its recognition. It lost out in the Best Actor category. Isn't that where Stephen Graham won over Colin Farrell? But hey, Colin Farrell still he's talking about potentially doing another season, even though he's like, maybe we should just leave it alone. It was so good. But we'll get into that later on.
He does that back and we're like,
he's like a pendulum. He swings back and forth. We will talk about it a lot more later on in the show, because Matt Reeves also was on the red carpet talking about the Batman Part 2 and the future of the Batman epic crime saga, including potentially another season of The Penguin, which of course competed in the limited series category. So kind of like Shogun was changed to a drama because they're doing more than one season. I don't know how that would affect future Emmy, what would you call it? Like qualification or eligibility, rather. Maybe they'll call it The Penguin Strikes Again, The Penguin Returns, so it's technically a new thing. Kind of like Daredevil Born Again is technically a different show from Daredevil, even though the story is sort of basically connected and the continuity is mostly meant to be the same. But we do know Colin Farrell's Penguin is back in the Batman Part 2. And like I said, for DCU Daily, the main story that we have later on today, or tonight, we're going to be talking about, a lot about the Batman Part 2, as well as potential other spin-offs And sequels, spin-off sequels like the Penguin Part 2 or the Penguin 2, the Penguin Season 2, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, however long Matt Reeves takes to make it, he certainly was talking about it. We'll get into it later. But that was all for the news segment here. But before we get to the quick hits, tonight, only a few hours ago, Alien Earth, John, they aired what you would call, what was it, episode 7, I believe. Not quite Movie Talk Madness. It's TV Talk Terror, but we don't have a lower third for that, so we're just gonna go with this.
It's like a temporary thing.
We're
like TV Talk tomfoolery, and then this is TV Talk Terror. So it works.
So you've been watching Alien episode, episode by episode every week, 7 episodes in. Noah Hawley is still one of the most, he's one of the most talented out there genius storytellers working, on the small screen today. Tell us what you thought about episode 7. We are, I believe, at least halfway, if not more than halfway through the season. So
we just have one episode left.
So this was the penultimate episode. All right. So how did you get, like the episode and where is the story taking us? And are you kind of sure about where things are headed for the finale? And did you even get any hints for maybe what comes after this season?
So in regards to this, it's I like that better. But I will say in regards to this show, this, by the way, spoilers, I'm going to be spoiling it momentarily, but after the huge cliffhanger, we got Isaac, aka Toodles, died by alien fly, and his skin got melted, all that stuff, and he is out of commission. And so now it's kind of picking up it kind of, what I love about Noah Hawley is that it's going against what it should do, but in a good way. Like, for instance, how last week's episode of Peacemaker was a picking up the pieces episode. It's just like this big thing happened, now we pick up the pieces. But with that, it's more character driven, less plot driven, a little bit more slower. Not bad, just kind of, not as driven. However, this one is picking up the pieces, but outside of the fact, it still fucking goes so far with its story characters. Because not only do we have so many subplots that are being talked about. We have the main plot being talked about and all this other stuff, but we have, Wendy, Joe, and I think Smee is her name. They're all planning to leave the island because, if you remember from last episode, Arthur turned off all their trackers because he got fired, and he sees that Boy Cavalier doesn't really treat them as people. They're more experiments, they're projects to him. So he's like, I can't let that happen. So he tells Joe, escape with them, and they're like, okay. So the whole episode is them trying to escape, in addition to Kirsch and Boy Cavalier realizing what they have in their possession in terms of the eye alien, realizing that the whole thing was premeditated. Toodles' death, because we saw the lamb, the sheep, whatever, hit into the glass and causing the door to lock behind him, causing the fly to attack him and burn him with acid, kill him. So Boy Cavalier is kind of doing stuff with that. Then we have the story with Slightly, who is being pressured by Morrow to give him the alien specimen, that not just whatever it's the face hugger, the chest burster, whatever it is. Give it to me so that his family doesn't die. And so you have that, and you have this kind of series of events. You also have Wendy communicating with the alien, as in this alien right here that's on screen. You have all these tidbits that are kind of building and ramping up. So you have a picking up the pieces episode, but then you have all these twists and turns and things ramping up for the finale. How is this gonna end? I pray to God that this gets a second season, because this is definitely the best paced episode. It's only 44 minutes. It's significantly less, and this show has been very slow, which is a big turnoff to many people, which I understand. Not a lot of people like slow stuff, but this is very in tune with what the original film was, and I love that. And I really believe that this because of that, this shares a lot of credence with the first film and respects it and does its own thing, but like really relies on that first film because that's the closest thing we have to like that. It's like 2 years later the events of Alien happens in this world, so obviously they're commemorating a lot of that by showcasing that history and whatnot. So this was very well paced. It felt quicker. It felt like it was always on top of stuff. Things were always happening, but it was not an onslaught of stuff. You have Smee dealing with her stuff, and then or was it Smee? I forget. The redheaded girl. I forget her name, but she was dealing with stuff, and then one of the other characters, she was kind of having some character stuff, like one of the more quote-unquote put-together characters. It's like she showcases her more like childlike and human side when she was like trying to show off to Boy Cavalier about how much better she was than Wendy and how much like smarter she was, but in deep down she's just this little kid that just is scared about this situation, and this whole situation is not what she thought it was going to be. And then you have the redheaded girl, again I'm blanking on the character name, but she is just kind of losing her grip on reality because in the last episode they wiped her memories because she had this whole thing like, she was traumatized from what happened on the ship. So they're like, okay, let's wipe her memories. And now, since Wendy told her last episode, now she's like kind of questioning what's real and kind of is almost like at a point of like, I don't care what happens to me. I just want to, it's just whatever. And I thought that was like, this is definitely one of the best episodes this season. I didn't think it would be, but it like genuine, like you have that ramping up, you have that escalation. And overall, I do genuinely believe that this is just an overall really great episode. I think it did a lot right. This character, Arana James's character, like she's the more like put together character, and and all of that. So yeah, I think that this was overall, it was like picking up the pieces, but at the same time it was just ramping stuff up. Like there were some twists. It was like the whole thing of Timothy Oliphant's Kirsch is like, oh yeah, I know everything that happened between you and Morrow. Go. And obviously stuff is planned because Kirsch is the smartest character probably in this show. Morrow tries to be, but Kirsch is like, I love how Kirsch is just like, yeah, we knew everything that was happening. What do you think? We're fucking stupid? Don't be a sore loser. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, I love that. And Timothy Oliphant does that so extremely well. God, he's just such an incredible actor. But yeah, I think this was, I don't think it was the best episode of the season, but it was the best paced, and I was like intrigued all the way through. I'm like, what is going to happen with this final episode of this season? And yeah, I'm sure we'll probably get that. Like, if there is a second season, we'll probably get that. Yeah, I love how like the eyeball alien has like kind of taken over this show in a way. But yeah, it still has a pretty good score on Rotten Tomatoes. Not like that matters. It's no matter what, it's still gonna be a fucking great show, no matter who it is. But like this ended with Cavalier wanting to experiment on the sheep, and then it ended with Joe, the redheaded girl, and Wendy on the boat. They get attacked because they knew it was coming, and Joe shoots because when the redheaded girl is about to kill the black girl, his teammate from like previously before he came to the island, he's about to kill her, and he's like, so he shoots the girl, and Wendy's like, what the fuck, man? And it's just like this static shot of the boat, like all the shit that went down, and that's how it ends. So the main reason Go still. What's Go? Go. What is that? I don't know what that is. But yeah, this is overall really another great episode. I think we got some alien action. We did get a little bit of so if you were waiting for that more aliens type bit, we got a little bit of that this episode. And I like the alien design. It's very different from like to be fair, it is daylight, while all the scenes of the alien in the original 1979 film, that was all on like a dark, dank spaceship, so you don't really get to see that for good reason. But here it was like, okay, you can get away with more effects and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought this was a overall really great episode, and glad that this show is in such a really good pace. This character, I forget her name, maybe it's Nibs. That's who was Nibs. So okay, Nibs was this character. Smee was this character. I'm sorry, like I can barely remember people's names. I just remember what they look like, so that's why I say that. Anyway, Doug Liman directed Go. Okay, I gotta look that up. But yeah, good stuff, great stuff. I'm happy that this show is just here. Alien fans are eating good finally after fucking Romulus. I try to watch that movie and I'm just like, no, get that the fuck out of here. But yeah, but that's it I don't want to go too long because then we'll be here all day. So let's get the other banner back in here, and there we go. Wonderful.
I'm muted. There was a good comment from I'm sure you addressed the whole eyeball situation.
Yes.
The eyeball alien. Yeah.
I would argue Alien 3. I am partial to. I think Aliens, and Alien.
You're not a
3.
fan of Alien Romulus, are you? You're not a.
I tried watching it. I just couldn't get into it.
Well, fair enough. You know what we can get into now, though, John? By the way, guys, let us know in the comments what you thought about Alien Earth episode 7, the penultimate episode before, of course, the season finale episode 8 coming out next week. We will have a review for you on next Tuesday's show. Of course, after today's show, you can stick around and get your fill of Tier List Tuesday, MCU Phase 3. But before we get to all of that, we still have a lot of DC to get into. But before we even get that far, John, it's time to talk about the quick hits. So I'm going to hit the Bossa Nova elevator music. And all right, so the quick hits. Let's get into it, shall we, John? Why don't you walk us through these? Some interesting stuff here.
So Brave and the Bold. Is Andy Muschietti still attached? Short answer, yeah. Like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like, duh. Okay. Unfortunately, he's still attached. So we're probably going to get a Garbo fucking Batman movie because of him. So, cool.
Yeah, well, this is, as you see here, he was at one of the, what was it, the after party? He was at an after party for Warner Brothers for the Emmys.
Jennifer Holland and two other people I don't know. So, cool.
Yeah. So you see some big hitters there from DC. So yeah, very much still part of the picture. So if you were wondering, Andy Muschietti still, well, he may not be in a hurry, but partly has to do with the fact that he doesn't have a script to work with. He's certainly still the man for the job, at least in the eyes of Peter Safran and James Gunn. So we'll see.
Unfortunately, yeah, but like also James Gunn likes Tom King, so like he doesn't hit it out of the ballpark every time. So Anyway,
all right.
But speaking of things you actually care about, Dan. Why don't you talk about this one?
Well, Tim Cook, of course, was at the Emmys, and more recent. Well, actually, no, he wasn't at the Emmys, but he was recently asked about F1 being probably what you would say not maybe the most successful, but certainly one of the most successful movies of the year. The F1 season is currently ongoing, and they're in the stretch run, and it looks like it's for the most part decided as far as the team who's going to win. We just have to kind of figure out which of the two drivers and McLaren's ultimately going to take the prize. and F1 the movie definitely helped elevate the profile of the motorsport, especially for all the people who were not already convinced by the Drive to Survive on Netflix. So Brad Pitt, of course, we know is interested. He would love any chance he gets to get into another F1 car. So Tim Cook, of course, the man behind not making the movie, but certainly helping finance it, because it was an Apple original film. It's now available for you guys to buy and rent on iTunes and everywhere else you can find it. It's not quite on Apple TV Plus yet. I believe it comes out on Apple TV Plus pretty soon though. So Tim Cook was recently asked about it, and he said, yeah, definitely something that we want to continue working with, and maybe get a sequel. We have already seen Joseph Kosinski talk about the idea of a sequel, and Tim Cook's pretty much hinted at that, hey, it's definitely something that F1 sequel is something that is being talked about. So it's not just Joseph Kosinski, opining about a sequel. Tim Cook, the man who would, potentially have the final say on, yes, let's go ahead and make another one, saying that, yeah, F1 potentially could have a sequel. John, are you surprised that after all that is done this year that they would be considering a sequel?
Bruh, I think they were jizzing in their pants when they realized that they made more money than a Superman movie. So, that's saying a lot. So congrats, F1 is a fucking fantastic movie. I can't wait if there is an F2, or is it going to be called F1-2? F1 subtitle? We'll see, but
F2 Electric Boogaloo?
F2 for F2.
Well, actually, because F2 is like the level down, so there's F1, F2, F3, F4. So you, as young, literally kid drivers, work their way up. You can find footage of Lewis Hamilton, for example, driving basically what looked like go-karts, and I think it's F4 or something. I think there was an F4 TV show or movie in the works too. So maybe they'll call it F1. The Return of Sonny Hayes, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Maybe we catch up to him in the Baja, and then he eventually comes back, and whatever. I'm just thinking. Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. I'm curious how they would do this, but I'm all for it if it is happening.
I mean, Monique is right.
Back, Joseph Kosinski back, and
bring him back. And Jerry Bruckheimer would be all for it. He's one of those golden producers that Hollywood has had for decades, and he keeps getting those hits out. So, and yeah, they left the ending of the movie pretty open ended, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, F1 the sequel, F1 the movie, F1 the sequel. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it.
Hands down. Now we move on to the next thing.
Hands up. Oh, this one. Okay, go ahead. You take this one.
So Ike Barinholtz won't meet Elon Musk before playing him in artificial biopic. If he puts me in a gulag, I hope my friends are there. Okay, I don't know why this is a headline, but sure.
He's in that show, The Studio. By the way, he's one of the supporting characters that works with Seth Rogen. I think he starts off in the show being on the same level, and they're best friends, and then Seth Rogen basically becomes his boss. So yeah, I mean, he sort of has a resemblance to Elon Musk, and I guess what he's saying definitely matches his personality.
Honestly, so. I think Kevin Durand would be better because he looks almost exactly like Elon Musk.
You're also not wrong there. Well, but we will leave it at that, and let's keep on going here before things get too political. But hey, John, remember when we did that Power Girl fan casting and how Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried were both picks? Well, guess what? They've got a movie coming out where they're starring in it together alongside Brendan Sklenar, one of our big picks for the DCU Batman. So with the trio and all together, I watched the trailer. The trailer came out today, as you can see here in the article. It's meant to be this they heat up, there's seduction going on, there's some crazy shit. It's a thriller, but maybe there's elements of horror in there, and I can't pin down what this movie's about, other than the general idea of Sydney Sweeney's character gets hired as a live-in housemaid by Amanda Seyfried and her husband, who have a young daughter, and something seems off about Amanda Seyfried's character, and it's by the end of the trailer you're led to believe maybe Sydney Sweeney's character is only playing the part of being like this, you know, person who really loves the job. Like, so I can't really tell what this movie's MO is, other than like I've seen stuff like this before, so
Yeah, like
I'll use that for
Walk
reference.
Cradle,
you
like,
know,
the housemaid from hell, like the from hell, like the affair from hell, like Fatal Attraction, the crush from hell, the crush. Like you have like there was like a from hell like subgenre in the early 90s that did this sort of thing, and that kind of reminds me of that. I don't like Paul Feig as a director, especially after his behavior and what he did on the whole Ghostbusters remake. But I mean I heard A Simple Favor was pretty good, but like I just don't have a ton of faith. But honestly, I'm curious about this because I like Sydney Sweeney, I like Amanda Seyfried, I like Brendan Sklenar, and I like this overall vibe. So I'm curious about it. So we'll see.
Yeah, very on brand, John. Very on brand.
I saw it.
I did. I saw it too.
It was great.
The Invisible Man was actually one of those horror movies that I surprisingly enjoyed. It over-delivered on the premise for me.
Yeah.
What did you think?
But plus it had Aldous Hodge in it. He's always great. So, you know.
True.
And another Batman fan cast we had. So there you go. Oliver Jackson Cohen was in that one. But yeah.
Very true.
Good stuff. Anyway, let's make these actually quick. Apparently, Jackie Chan's The Shadow's Edge leads China box office for 4th week. Jackie Chan is still killing it. Seems to be in this day and age.
I've been seeing this each and every week. I mean, the man is getting older, but his movies are still, you know, killing it. And the Chinese box office, clearly, they love him in China. He's a legend. He's already got an honorary Oscar. He probably deserves more. And even if he's never quite understood why the Rush Hour movies were really popular, I mean, what he does best with all those Hong Kong actioners back in the day, you could tell he's still not lost a beat. So, yeah, Shadow's Edge. Not surprised.
I mean, fuck that, too. I didn't know that happened, but yeah, fuck him. But, like, you know.
Yeah. By the way, Caleb, yes, it should have. Too bad it didn't happen. Too late now. I don't know if they're ever going to go back that way.
I just think that the Dark Universe should have been, like, it shouldn't be modern. Like, if you want true, like, Universal Monster Universe, fucking take it back to when the Universal Monsters were coming out. 30s and 40s, black and white, boom. There you go. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. That would be great. Don't do, like, modern day stuff. Don't have fucking Tom Cruise in there, neither. Like, I don't know. Like, I personally think, even though it wasn't that great, Dracula Untold, that's what should have really started it. Like, that's, like, because that was, like, you know, again, it was, like, I know it was, like, generic action movie, and they took aspects of Coppola's movie, but it felt more in line with, like, a modernization of those movies, and it, like, was period specific, so, like, it worked, but I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, Jackie Chan, way to go, man. Love it.
Dominating the box office 4 weeks in a row in China. Yep.
Anyway, speaking of Universal, Universal apparently has pushed Atomic Monster's Other Mommy. Okay.
That's the James Wan production studio, yeah.
It's a horror movie from Atomic Monster based on the novel Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman, who also wrote Bird Box. Apparently it was set for May. Now it's going to be Spoopy Times for October 9th. And it's going to open against another Last Airbender film.
The Legend of Aang.
The Legend of Ong. If you're
Ong?
going on the M. Night Shyamalan version.
Legend of Ong?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Bluey. Glue. Hello. Cool. This is good. Cool. They moved the movie's release date. Good on that. Maybe they needed more time. Let's keep on going.
Anyway, so speaking of Warner Brothers, apparently Warner Brothers promises investors the HBO password crackdown, and price hikes are coming. So, yeah.
I love how brazenly public. Like they're not even trying to hide it. Like if you scroll down and read what David Zaslav said here, it's ridiculous. He's like, yeah, you know, we can. And I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he did not like play it down at all. He's like, you know, where we feel like we are creating great value and we can raise our prices.
Cosmic brained exec. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. The sarcasm in this article is much deserved because not only did David Zaslav said they intend to raise prices for HBO. I'll give you the TLDR if you scroll up to the top. Not only did he was at this like convention event conference thing where it's not really meant for the public, but clearly like the quotes got out because of course they did. It's not like a closed event. And he not only did he say that they're gonna raise prices because they feel like they're offering something really premium, something good. He tried to spin it off a little bit like, oh yeah, you know, like I think our content is worth more money, which I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that. I mean, yes, you are HBO, and HBO is the cream of the crop. But with that said, he was also pretty brazen about saying, look, we're also gonna start cracking down on password sharing. Because that's something where we can potentially see more profit margins. So it's not a good look because the quotes are clearly not meant to be something that's seen in the public eye. Like he wouldn't be saying these things if he was at Comic-Con, but this was like a business like event conference thing. So he's being a little more direct. But let's be honest, he's like Warner Brothers Discovery and HBO Max are not the only streaming service that are doing this. We've seen Disney do it. Warner Brothers Discovery they've raised HBO's prices several times. Apple just raised their prices. Netflix does it like every 8 months. So I just think we're going to get to the point real soon where we're literally not, going to start seeing people like just not, I think it's already there.
From the man whose profile picture is also of
we're already there. People can't afford all these streaming services, man. Like it's like I think I pay like $20 for HBO Max alone a month, and not to mention Netflix. I pay like $35.
It's like
with
my cable
ridiculous
package, so
it is ridiculous, dude. And it's like Netflix. I mean, then you got Disney Plus on top of that. There's so many other things. I don't know if I saw that trailer for Monster.
The teaser was better than the trailer because here's the thing. It looks good. I don't know if I'll watch it. I was never a huge fan of Ryan Murphy's like fucking like kind of jerking off like these horrible people that did horrible things and kind of did it in like a weird sexy kind of way. So I was never a fan of that, but and Ed Gein fucking intrigues me. So I don't know. It's just it does look good. I might watch it. But one problem I have with this, and I'm curious to know your thoughts, if you ever watch it, and let me know who has ever seen the Ed Gein trailer. Is it me, or does Charlie Hunnam as Ed Gein sound like Derek Zoolander? Because he sounds like the way he talks, he sounds like Derek Zoolander from Zoolander, and he's like the really, really ridiculously good looking, like that, like accent, and that sounds like Zoolander. And you gotta watch the trailer. We could do it in between this and Tier List Tuesday, but that's what he sounds like to me, and I just can't get it out of my head. So I'm sure Charlie Hunnam will do a great job. I'm sure it'll be great. I get it, but. Okay, thank you. Because that's what it sounds like to me. Maybe that's what he really sounded like, but I don't know. It's just crazy to me. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing.
Damn. All right, Monique and Liz disagree with you.
I don't
okay,
think
cool.
They're bad. It's just like I feel like they sexify a lot of these people.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, quick, I did want to mention, Bluey asked a question, do you guys think Superman will get stronger in future DC movies? In terms of his power set, I'd imagine potentially, because they got to build him up for bigger villains. So my bet will be yes, but we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. Because Man of Tomorrow comes out in a couple of years. Maybe we'll see how much stronger he is, or not, But it's all about how you write the character. All right, John, speaking of writing characters, concept art for unmade Batman Arkham Knight sequel reveals an older Bruce Wayne's formidable new Batsuit. Of course, this is a game that we never got to see, but now we have some concept art. Did you get a chance to take a look at it? This looks pretty impressive.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. It's, and then they decided, oh, hey, the fucking things that don't make any money or don't make,
I think there's more photos down below. Yeah.
Let's make it about the fucking Suicide Squad because that fucking makes sense.
Yeah, Batman is I mean, every character could be the most OP character of all time in the comics. Like, you know, the Hulk and even Superman is like really like, it just depends on what version you're looking at and how they write him. But the Arkham Knight Batsuit that we have seen over the years, like in those games, iconic. This suit in particular looks very much, including the years, John. It looks kind of more inspired by the Ben Affleck DCEU Batman. The timeline aligns, certainly. It's less like the Robert Pattinson Batsuit, and I think the symbol and maybe even the cowl looks more like the Ben Affleck cowl, doesn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. That's what I thought it was. Most definitely. So, yeah.
I don't know about the jawline, but you know, everything else pretty much lines up. So
that
interesting.
jaw, though. Anyway, but
keep on going.
Yeah, very cool. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure he mentioned this like months ago, but
in case you missed it,
Michael Jackson, whoa, Jesus Christ, different Michael. Michael Douglas said he's like, yeah, I'm not coming back, which is like, yeah, good for him. He's like, I already did this shit. I don't give a fuck about this anymore. Bye-bye.
I mean, that's not to say that Kevin Feige can't give him a call and be like, you want to come in and you know, spend a day, shoot a couple of scenes. He might say yes for the right price and, you know, potential accommodation, but like, hey, he said, Michael Douglas, I think it's been pretty well known for a while. He said, I don't think so. I had the experience. I was excited to do it. I'd never done a green screen picture before. Goes to show you what he thinks about the MCU movies. I'm enjoying my hiatus and enjoying my life. So I get it. Michael Douglas is, I mean, especially Ant-Man Quantumania is not the kind of movie that's, you know, conducive to a great acting, because you're shooting everything in front of green screens. Man, and the Lost
Quantumania movie so bad it caused 2 people to retire early. You know?
Yeah, and like Monique is saying, he has had some health issues. He's also one of those actors who's been around for decades, is one of the most iconic Hollywood actors of all time, and he's had some health issues. So I think he's also like been running his own production company for years. So he was a producer, a businessman, and an actor. That's a lot to keep up with. And you saw recently The Roses, John. I think the original.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that garbage.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Liz
well,
saw that crap.
I think the original that had Michael Douglas starring in it was better than the new one. But anyway, let's keep on going here.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, way to go, Michael Douglas, putting the foot down. Ew, gross. Ew,
Speaking of putting your foot down, John, did you put your foot down when you saw the first look footage of season 4 of The Witcher? Which, if you squint hard enough, you might just see the shadow, maybe even the silhouette of a Henry Cavill Witcher. But Geralt, in this case, is no longer played by the Man of Steel. Instead, he's played by Liam Hemsworth, the lesser of the Hemsworth brothers.
God of Thunder's brother that nobody fucking cares about. Cool. Great.
If you go down, though, we do have a premiere date. So if you're not convinced,
fucking watching this fucking shit, are you kidding me?
It premieres October 30th, so pretty much around Halloween time. And you know, if you're not convinced by the footage, maybe you give it a shot, see an episode. If you still don't like it, then you're welcome to skip it. I did not see that movie with him and Demi Moore. Which one are you talking about specifically? Are you talking about Michael Douglas still, Patrick, or are you talking about Liam Hemsworth? But yeah. Let's keep on going.
Yeah, fucking Henry Cavill's like, hey, I care about this character. Let's do it right. And then everyone was like, how dare you? Get out of here. And then now we have this fuckwad. And nobody's going to watch it. And it's going to be terrible. Because,
it's also...
Okay, here's the thing. Liam Hemsworth isn't a bad actor. It's just like he looks like bad cosplay. That's what it looks like to me. So, like, it's just that's not Geralt of Rivia. That's Geralt of Rivia from Temu. Like, get this off my screen. Gross. Anyway, speaking of Superman, or don't support it, so then it'll get canceled early, and then we don't have to watch more of it.
All right, John, well, walk us through this one. James Gunn had something to say about how powerful Superman truly is. I mean, speaking of the question that Louis was just asking, apparently Superman might already have a more than capable adversary, or another hero in the DCU, I should say, who can already beat him.
Yeah, he mentioned this on the podcast. He said who could beat him in a fight, Green Lantern or Superman. And Green Lantern, Green Lantern. And then Frank Grillo got like personally offended because he was like, here's the thing. And he was like, he asked James, like very seriously, like, where does Guy Gardner come from? Earth. Where does Superman come from? Krypton. And he's like, yeah, Superman was born with superpowers. Guy Gardner is exactly that. He's just a guy. He has a ring. Can't take that ring off. What are you? Not a billionaire playboy philanthropist. He's just a guy. All right? Superman could fucking kill him. So get that out. I love Frank Grillo was so personally offended by James Gunn's answer. That was so funny to me. But yeah. But he had this to say: it's a very grounded, real show in regards to lanterns. But he did say, you know, he's pretty powerful. So I mean, I could see that. So I don't know. Maybe this pisses you off. Does it?
I honestly, James Gunn is, you could tell he's shooting from the hip for a lot of these things. So for all we know, like when the time comes, like in a year from now, if he were to get a follow up to the Make Your Move, Big Blue, maybe Superman would, you know, pummel Guy into the ground and kill him before he gets, you know, punched out by by
to do
Batman.
the Injustice storyline, but
So,
I don't think they're going to go with that.
Who knows? I think the way James Gunn is approaching canon is pretty loose, which is on purpose, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine as long as it, you know, doesn't make things more confusing.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be for 7 seasons too, and look how that turned out. Whoopsie daisies.
All right, let's keep on going, shall we?
Yes, very much so. Actually, no, nothing to go on because there's
John. I sent you a link. I sent you another one.
There is one more.
We can't not talk about this because Demon Slayer slayed the box office this past weekend. Since we didn't have a Monday show, we were talking about it today on Tuesday.
Fuck off, CNN. Get out of here.
What are you doing? Just open up the article.
Oh, you gotta agree to fucking bullshit. Anyway, here, goddamn.
Let's zoom into this. Let's there you go. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, this slashed and slayed a 26-year-old box office record, topping the weekend box office. John, if you scroll down, it is the biggest opening for an anime of all time at the domestic box office, hauling in an estimated $70 million. John. Sony Pictures Entertainment pushing this out through Crunchyroll. They raked in $33 million on Friday alone, surging past Warner Brothers' 1999 anime hit Pokemon, the first movie, which grossed $31 million in its opening weekend. And holy cow, like, we know this movie was making insane amounts of money in Japan when it came out there, and it was delayed getting out here. But this is insane. I mean, Paul de Garabet, the head of marketplace trends at ComScore, he's somebody you would want to listen to when it comes to these kind of records. He said, we can easily call this a surprise hit to have this one dominate the domestic box office. I don't think anyone could see this coming.
Apparently.
70 million puts it, I bet you, in like the top 5 or so, like biggest openings of the year. Like, I'm trying to think, like Superman had 100 million plus opening, but then you had, of course, Jurassic World open because it was July 4th, so it opened to a decent, I think it was like 100 million or something like that. But 70 million in September. We thought that, you know, Weapons was killing it with the number that it did. We thought that the what was it, Conjuring: The Last Rites, which had the second biggest horror opening of all time, and here we are. You know, an anime. Did someone say anime? It woke Fiona up. Hello, Fiona. By the way, Zelda is not doing well. Send your best wishes. She's the cutest corgi in the whole wide world. Monique saying hi to Fiona. Patrick saying hi. Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle, John. Did you expect anywhere close to 70 million? Because even seeing the headlines of what it did in Japan, right. I don't think anybody, 70 million? Are you kidding me? For the whole weekend, domestic alone? It's, yeah, like you said, over twice of what the previous record was.
It is
all the way back in the 90s.
The 11th highest grossing movie, highest opening of this year. Yeah, so, yeah. 11th. Hold on, I'll get the actual thing so we'll zoom in.
And MTG, exactly. There's been quite a few surprises. We thought September would be dead. Like, and all of a sudden we've got like 3 or 4 that are really just broken out completely. And it's worth noting. I mean, anime doesn't get this big at the box office, right? You could tell Sony's made the right investment with Crunchyroll and what they're doing there. So really, really excited to see what this does.
So
beautifully animated.
You can see this.
Look at this is the list. Yep.
So Minecraft movie is the first. Then you have Lilo and Stitch, Superman, Fantastic Four, Jurassic World Rebirth, Captain America: Brave New World, How to Train Your Dragon, Conjuring Last Rites. God damn. And then Thunderbolts and Demon Slayer. That actually might be the 10th. So, these are all openings. But
look at the company it's keeping there. That's insane, right?
So
that is
ignoring Minecraft movie, in terms of openings.
Dude, that's higher than Lilo and Stitch. $1 billion movie. Oh, never mind. Okay. It's up there. Never mind. That's
so with this.
Okay.
So this is the only thing I could find where it's like it's biggest grossing weekends of the year. So you have to get rid of a couple of them. Like, so if you get rid of the second Minecraft, if we're just talking about openings, then Demon Slayer is the 10th biggest opening this year, because Minecraft movie, Lilo and Stitch, Superman, Fantastic Four, Rebirth, Brave New World, How to Train Your Dragon, Conjuring Last Rites, Thunderbolts.
If you open the link that I just sent you, John, we can look at just the 2025 ones, the biggest ones. Yeah, there you go.
Although it is funny, my friend didn't like the movie very. I mean, he thought it was good, but not great. But in terms of anime-esque movies, he thought, he thought the K-pop thing was better. So
I have a question for Fiona, since you are up and watching. Would you want to go see this in movie theaters? It's still out there. It's playing. It's since it's doing such good business. Look at this is the list now, John. If you zoom in a little bit, we could take a look at where it sits. Demon Slayer. Is it updated yet with Demon Slayer? Is that in there? Or we can just kind of see where it would place if you look at the overall number. I think you may have to organize that list if you click on opening weekend box office.
It doesn't allow
it. Doesn't. I think it's already ranked that way then. All right, so Thunderbolts, it would be the 11th. You're right. Well, the article's right. It would be right behind Thunderbolts. But yeah. look at what it's sitting above though. It's higher opening than F1, higher opening than Weapons, The Conjuring, which had a pretty. Actually, no, The Conjuring would be higher, and then Final Destination: Bloodlines. It opened higher than Disney's Snow White.
Like for instance, Sinners, and Mission Impossible, and would be off because they didn't have as high, but that had high. So yeah, that's some good company. That is some good company. I would not expect an anime to be sitting this high. Not happen. Dude, that previous record was 31 million. It obliterated that record. Obliterated it. All right. Okay. Well, it's a date. Fiona and I are gonna go see Demon Slayer at the movie theater. So I can't wait to do that. You guys let us know if you will go do the same. Infinity Castle out now to the tune of $70 million domestically. Already broke a ton of records in Japan, now broke a ton of records in North America. I'm sure if you don't get a chance to see it in the movie theater, you're probably going to go watch it on Crunchyroll after it comes out on Crunchyroll. So with that, let us know what you thought about all the news, the quick hits, because now we got to get to DC and then we got to get to Marvel for MCU Phase 3 tier list. John, you know what time it is? In case you didn't know. It's time. It's DC time. Yeah, we can barely see that because of your green screen.
I know.
It would watching this side of the show, like and comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell. It is now DC time.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto. Hunka hunka.
Oh my god, guys. It's DC time. I'm John. Lovely to see you all. Excited to talk about a lot of DC stuff today. mainly Batman Part 2 stuff, but we have some other things to talk about. So let's get into it. Dan's here. Dan is also here.
Hello.
What are you excited to talk about today, Dan?
I'm excited. By the way, also, I'm excited that Bane pointed out, and I remembered this, we were talking about it just a moment ago, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, only part 1, and there's still part 2 and 3 to come. So I wonder how well those will do. But as far as DC goes, Sean, we already talked a bunch of DC before we got to DCU Daily in the news portion of the show.
Well, we got to keep people, like, hooked,
but
you know?
Yeah, but then we still have to discuss Peacemaker. We have to talk about the Batman Part 2, Matt Reeves' plans for the future of that franchise, potential other spin-offs, maybe the Penguin getting another spin-off of his own, maybe a Penguin Returns or something to that effect. There's a lot to get into, John. So let's just dive into it. We've got some DC quickets to start off with, and then we'll get into our main story about Matt Reeves when he was on the red carpet at the Emmys talking about the Penguin, as well as the upcoming Batman Part 2 and where Robert Pattinson stands with all of that. So let's get into it, shall we? We got the DC quickets.
Yes. Sorry for the lack of... Okay, there we go. But this is apparently a deleted scene from the funeral scene in The Batman in regards to all that. And this is him bringing in his bat suit in, and we'll just leave it there and we'll just take that off so we don't get sued anyway. Or demonetized, whatever. But that's a very cool scene. Very cool scene. We're gonna be it's kind of nice how we got a little bit of a tidbit there, a little bit of a you could
tell like they took it out because it's not something that's gonna change your understanding of the movie. It was sort of implied at that point that he basically carries this suit around in that bag, if you want a duffel bag. So yeah, I don't think we missed anything for not having it in there, because ultimately then he literally gets called out by the Riddler in the movie, and then he shows up in the costume. So it's fine, it works. They took it out, it's okay. It doesn't change the continuity much. John's favorite superhero is Superman, to answer your question, Patrick. Let's keep on going. Quickets, DC quickets, the parrots, ducks, pelicans of the DC news.
But now we got to get into something much more divine. Sol Rodriguez in Peacemaker season 2. Didn't
think that's where you were going with that, but cool.
What that tongue do? Anyway, but lovely to see. I will say I like her a lot. She's very funny. She has a good back and forth with Tim Meadows. Ginger Cool. With that bird. You can't make fun of another man's bird blindness. Is it funny? Yes, but it's still very hurtful. Just like that's like my favorite line. But yeah, I like her. You kind of love to hate her, but you realize she's kind of just doing her job and all that stuff. But she apparently, James Gunn did confirm on the podcast that she was a runner-up for the engineer, and he went with
I'm not surprised.
Maria Gabriela de Faria, but he was like, yeah, this chick's really good. And as we all know, James Gunn has a very much a love for Latina women, so he just wanted to put another one in there. So he's like, you know what, Sol Rodriguez, get over here on the TV side, come on. And now we have her in the show, and we have a great cast and something very nice to look at. So all good things. And Dan, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm not as convinced by her performance. I don't think she's the best actress necessarily.
No, I don't think so either. But I think she's good in the show. Like I like her back and forth with Tim Meadows. I think she's the straight man, he's the goofy one. And even James Gunn said this on the podcast again, where Tim Meadows is essentially what Peacemaker was in season 1, where he's like this kind of douchey, like doesn't care about anybody kind of vibe, but like he's like, how did this guy get a position in a government agency? And he's just like a jackass, but like it works. And then she's like very much about her job and like is trying to like do her best, and she has to deal with this fuckhead. So like I don't know, I just think that's kind of amusing to me. I think that adds to the good parts of the comedy of the show, so I got to give it that.
It's fine. It's good. This is just a behind the scenes look, so we'll leave it there.
Yeah. But but this was about I'm gonna mute that. But this was about, speaking of the podcast, this was about like why like Rick Flag was sent to die. And this was revealed years ago, but it was cropped up again, and now he has made it DCU canon that the
he like literally seemingly, if you watch this, he just does it on the fly as they're talking about it. That's my only problem with it. I'm just like, so he's literally shooting, you know, at the hip, like making all this stuff up.
I don't know. I still think it's funny, and I still, you know, that's such an Amanda Waller thing to do. Like John Collins is laughing his ass off, and you know, just I don't know. I think that's really funny. Like I remember that. I'm like, that deleted scene should have been in the movie. That sounds funny as fuck. So you know, I think I like that a lot. And you know, he has mentioned here that he's glad that Joel Kinnaman can be in something funnier because he's very funny. So you know, yeah. I appreciate that.
It's fine. I can rant about this, about the whole like crossing canons over, and well, it's not going to change anybody's perception of, you know, the Rick Flag that we're getting by this little detail that most people don't know about. So it's fine. It's all good.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was funny.
It's funny. It's funny, and you could tell, like, you know, like Viola Davis gives you that RBF real hard. Like she's very good at staring a hole through you, especially as Amanda Waller. And I guess when you rub her the wrong way, she's gonna send you out into the jungles of Puerto Maltese to get assassinated by Peacemaker.
I just think it's kind of funny that it's just like, yeah, sure, it's canon. Like, okay, we'll make it canon. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I understand, like, there is an idea of like, okay, strict canon. I know people can get very anal about that because, you know, people have gone on about the X-Men movies for years, like, oh, it's got a terrible canon. But sometimes if it warrants good movies, then like, who fucking cares about canon? Like, the fucking comic books don't give a fuck about canon. Why should the movies at this point? It's a rolling canon, just like whatever, make it. And then it's like, that doesn't make sense. Okay, then it's not canon anymore. Just like, whatever, man. Just, it's fine. It'll be cool. It's ginger cool, you know? But let's go on to the next thing. Apparently Peacemaker is now in Fortnite. Cool.
It looks nice. Cool. It looks like can you see him? I can't see John Cena. I just see a floating red shirt, and there's a glove hanging in the air, as that like from the Addams Family. And then there's a toilet bowl up floating upside down. So cool.
Good. Yeah, floating timeline. That's what it's called. But anyway, I don't give a fuck about Fortnite. Moving on. But somebody made this little ditty of if they ever made an Authority movie, even though James Gunn has said many times that they don't plan on making it for every different movie.
I wish they did, though, because I mean, this guy's already done the work, and it looks pretty fantastic. So
you know, I mean, I don't think the Authority movie is going to come out anytime soon, but you know, I just think
in the alternate universe, Hunter, kids like Peacemaker, not
Peacemaker, and then Peacemaker pop. That was the better part of that scene.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I like how it's like, I like how James Gunn said it's like the MGM lion. It's just Superman's the sigil and all that shit. So it's like, bam, all that, boom, perfect, cool, great. We don't need more of that.
Cool.
But it still looks cool. Still looks very cool. Lee Pace, anybody? No? Okay. But yeah, and now we have Dylan O'Brien coming in. Why is this news, and why is it in DC news, Dan? That's my question.
It's something Liz wanted to include. Because remember we did a Nightwing fan casting and Dylan O'Brien was in there not too long ago. Mm-hmm. I guess he's looking like a hunka Berlin Love on the whatever color carpet that is, walking a cute doggy down the aisle. So
dog
man. on a fashion week. Is it fashion week? Walking at New York Fashion Week. There you go. With rescue dog.
No,
that's
cool.
Dog
welder.
Appreciate it.
Dog welder. That was yeah.
Look, this was a Liz special. Liz is not here this week, but
all right, let's get the fuck out of here then. Like, goddamn, this is something I care about. Like, Legends of the Dark, Legends of Batman. This looks. I can't wait for this. This looks fucking kino. Like maybe WB Games, you will be forgiven for the atrocity that is fucking Suicide Squad with this gem. So you better not fuck this up, or I'm coming for you. All right, don't fuck this up, because this looks fucking kino, and I can't fucking wait for it. So yeah, Dan, I don't know if you care about this, but
it looks. I care about it. I mean, we talked about this. Like, it looks fun. I don't know if I'm going to play the game very often, but it looks fun.
I figured that. Dog Welder seems like a favorite superhero. And he is exactly what you think. For all the people that don't, Dog Welder is a real superhero, and his only power is welding dogs to people's faces. That's it. That's the power, and it's kind of awesome.
I'm down, John, the lawyers. Cool. All right. Well, Jose, by the way, respecting Liz's opinions. Nightwing, Dylan O'Brien. Cool. Let's move on, shall we? Was that it for the quickest?
No, we have a little bit more, but we have to calm down with the lawyers, apparently, according to Caleb. So that's why I had to. Oh wait, is it? Is that?
No, that was the last quick hit. That was the last DC quick hit.
Well, anyway.
All right. With that, we're gonna move on to our main event of DCU Daily, the main event of the whole show. The Batman Part 2, John, it's finally happening. Yes, do believe it, it's finally happening. They have a script. The script is done. In fact, they've put it into a bunch of pouches that they printed out multiple copies. They made sure not to leave one by the printer like that poor PA did for Marvel years ago. Instead, they've put these copies of all the scripts into locked pouches. We saw, I think, was it Jeffrey Wright shared his copy a while ago. We know Colin Farrell has got a hold of his. He's talked about it already. And we now know that Robert Pattinson, of course, we had also mentioned this previously, but this time around we're hearing from Matt Reeves. He was on the red carpet recently for the Emmys, and he talked about how, he has heard from Robert Pattinson, who's been reading up on the Batman Part 2. He's already been in the gym for a little while now, prepping for the Batman Part 2. And of course, we know they're going to be looking to film this movie at some point early next year as the next entry in the Batman epic crime saga, Bex as we like to call it. And we have a bit of a sneak peek into what that pouch looks like, John. I don't know if you have that photo available, but that's the kind of pouch.
This was from when Jeffrey Wright posted about it. This was his picture.
Yes.
But we'll zoom into this, and yeah, it seems like it's got like a special thing over here. It's got, I don't know how that locks with the zippers, but like whatever.
I think there's like some kind of lock at the end there. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and then like codes and all that shit. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good
stuff. Yeah. And the Robert Pattinson gets to keep his script because they trust the man. Most other people would like have to send it back apparently. But hey, you know what? Why don't we listen to what Matt Reeves had to say about this himself?
I'm sure I'm sure James Gunn would make a fucking.
I'm sure James Gunn knows. But this is to quote specifically Matt Reeves. This is what he had to say about it.
About that next movie. Yeah. Come on, the script is done. We're all excited. You start shooting March?
Yeah, we start shooting in spring. We'll shoot probably like April, end of April, beginning of May, something like that. But it's been a long journey, and I am so incredibly excited. I'm really, really proud of the script that Mattson and I did, and we're starting to share it with Rob. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but Rob,
you could say whatever you want, Matt.
Rob was super excited, and I really think that I feel really excited about the idea that it's going to be that we feel like we can reach farther and do even more than we did in the first one. And I'm really excited to get back together with everybody that we made the movie with, and it's going to be fun. I'm super excited.
How do you deliver the script to Rob to make sure, literally?
Well, the way we do it is we put it in a secret pouch that literally has a lock on it, and then the code is sent to a different thing, and they have, he was in New York at the time, and so everything is high security.
And he reads it, puts it back in the pouch, and sends it back?
He does not send it back. He's allowed to keep it in the locked pouch because we trust Rob, and he's the best.
Okay. And also I gotta say, that's my neighbors. Anyway, I can't do a good Bobby impression, but I tried.
I like the fan cannon that Caleb has here. The briefcase from Pulp Fiction is the Batman Part 2 script. Oh, with the gold on it.
That's my man purse.
The interviewer, I know. This was on the red carpet from Variety, of course. That's where you can see Matt Reeves is, had his shot of caffeine. Actually, that's just how he talks. But Robert Pattinson has read the script for the Batman Part 2, as Matt Reeves said himself, in a high security locked pouch. But he also mentioned, John, that the Penguin Season 2 is in discussions now. Of course, it's also now become a 9-time Emmy Award winning limited series on HBO. So, with that said, Matt Reeves was not the only one talking about it. We also heard from Casey Bloys, who's basically the head of HBO. John, if you go to that link, he was recently asked about it as well. He's done a number of interviews talking about a lot of what HBO has coming up, including the upcoming the Game of Thrones next spin-off series that they're working on. But specifically, Casey Bloys was addressing The Penguin Season 2. And if you scroll down here, there's a quote from him specifically mentioning that, hey, they're kicking around ideas. Obviously, Matt's got to get the next Batman movie going. That is underway, I believe so. So I think he and Lauren LaFranc are talking about ideas. So I'm hopeful that there will be another story to tell. Kicking around ideas. And, of course, they're saying they're needing to get going on the Batman Part 2, which we just heard Matt Reeves talk about. They're looking to film in April of next year, in 2026. But kicking around ideas is pretty much where we have been for a while. However, the fact that they're addressing it in a more positive and seemingly, a more certain tone, if you want to call it that. You hear this from Casey Bloys, John. Let's put the pieces together for a moment, right? Mm-hmm. You hear this from Casey Bloys. He's the head of HBO. He's the man who's ultimately going to be the one green lighting all of this. And if you go to the very top, or rather, if you go to the Matt Reeves talking about it, that other link from Instagram, we know Matt Reeves at this point has mentioned on multiple occasions he was at red carpets earlier in the award season this year. He's obviously mentioned it again here. They're open-ended about the idea of doing another one. Matt Reeves obviously knows where the Penguin's arc is going in the Batman Part 2. He wrote the script. Colin Farrell seems to be talking about like a pendulum swing back and forth and whether he wants to do another one or not. Cristin Milioti just won an Emmy for her performance. I'm sure she would love to come back. She loves acting, in her own words. So with all that said, Casey Bloys seems, the head of HBO. And then you add on top of all of that, Lauren LaFranc, the showrunner of The Penguin. We heard not that long ago that she just got a new overall deal to basically stay in the house of HBO. So they've got all the pieces together. The only thing I can think of that might get in the way is if Colin Farrell, is indeed going to be part of that Sergeant Rock movie, which is going to resume development and pre-production next summer. Do you think the Penguin Season 2 now is more possible than ever before? Because I personally think all the stars are aligning, and it's a matter of just time. Maybe a few months from now we might hear about it, or maybe we have to wait a little bit longer, given that it is still a Matt Reeves adjacent project. But what do you think, John? Do you think all the pieces are there? The showrunner, you've got the big man behind with the plan in Matt Reeves. You've got the head of HBO who's going to have to give it the green light. James Gunn has been pretty positive about it. So do you trust that we will get another sequel, spin-off, I don't know what you would call it, the Penguin Part 2, the Penguin Season 2, kind of like Peacemaker? Do you think we're going to get another one?
I think it depends how well the Batman does and how well, or the Batman Part 2 does and how well I think Brave and the Bold does. Like if it's, if we get both of those movies, and depending on the popularity, we'll see. But I think, I think if the Batman Part 2 does as well as it does, it's just like the problem is like, hey, buddy, you got to work on the script in a good amount of time rather than it taking half a decade to get from one movie to another. While, as we joked about before, James Gunn was announced as CEO, wrote, directed, produced, and made Superman, and then greenlit a sequel, which will be written, directed in 2 years, and released in the same amount of time that Matt Reeves has apparently been writing the Batman Part 2. So I'm just saying, or well, at least Batman Part 2 comes out. So I'm just saying that's very interesting. That's all.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I will say though, to address what Caleb was saying, is the Penguin season 2 even needed? I want justice for Wick. I want justice for Wick. Also, I want to see what happens with Oz Cobb. Like, how much further does he rise in the ranks of Gotham's underground, right? If you're going in the direction of Hush, if you're going in the direction of the Court of Owls, like, where does the Penguin fit into that picture? We've theorized about this to no end. So, I would love to see where they go with it. They don't need to force it, of course. I agree with you, Eric, but I think they can come up with this story, right? Like, they only had 8 episodes, so it's not like they have to write a ton. It's not like they're writing a 22 episode season. So, like MPG is saying, I don't think it's needed, but there's a lot of story to tell and a great foundation laid. So it's kind of like, there's other comparisons, like the Sopranos was basically the immediate comparison people made. So Sopranos ran for what, like 8-10 years. It wasn't a show that lasted for just one season. So this world of Gotham clearly is meant to be explored in depth, and that seems to be what Matt Reeves' plan has been all along. And while the Penguin is certainly the only spin-off right now, maybe they want to do even other things like Arkham Asylum, like they can want to explore that. How else do you get the Joker in there unless you make him the villain of the next movie, which people will be like, we've already seen that happen several times before. And then now we've also talked about how, Zoe Kravitz is not coming back, but at least as of now, we are not aware of anything that she has to do with the sequel to the Batman. Her publicist sort of denied the idea. So if you're gonna get Catwoman again, maybe she teams up.
They're gonna bring the Lazarus Pit into Matt Reeves
with Sophia, but I mean, I wish they did. I don't know if they're gonna go with the Ra's al Ghul route, but although James Gunn has addressed the idea that the Lazarus Pit might be the only way somebody comes back in the DCU. Otherwise, if you're dead, you're dead. No, Wick did not deserve it, John. And justice for Wick is, if I ever come across Matt Reeves, I'm going to tell him about that. I'm like, Wick did not deserve it. We need justice for Wick, and we also need to bring back Rick Flag. I'm okay with that. Bring him back.
I mean, technically, he is already back, just in a different universe. He's never done it. So, like,
Catwoman is not in Europe, though. Like, did she say she was going to another town?
Bloodhaven.
Bloodhaven. All right.
She did specifically say Bloodhaven.
So. All right. So she's gonna go hang out.
I know somebody said bring in a Robin. I don't think I wouldn't want him to bring in a Robin, because like that's clearly what Brave and the Bold is doing, and I'm not saying there can't be, but it's just like I just think it's too, especially when like each movie is supposed to be like right after one another. I don't think like it's going to take place over the course of a couple months, so it's like, I don't think he's going to have a Robin so soon. Maybe like it'll be teased at the end of the third one if that happens, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see what other corners of this Gotham universe we can see and what they can explore. Maybe we'll get even more ideas after seeing Batman Part 2. I just hope that they don't, if they do intend to do a Penguin season 2 or another iteration of the Penguin, whatever you want to call it, I hope they don't sit on it for too long, because like you got to strike while the iron is hot. Like right now the Penguin is back in the news cycle because of the Emmys. You've just signed up Lauren LaFranc to stick around on HBO. She did an amazing job. Matt Reeves is clearly not going anywhere. He's pretty much in charge of all things Batman at DC Studios, including the DCU iteration of Batman. He's a producer on that too with James Gunn. Why not give the Penguin another chance? Like MTG was saying, the Penguin has been shown as navigating the upper echelon of Gotham. Having a prosecutor going after him could be some direction they can go in. Seeing how he's running the underground while in the upper echelon of the mafia, the new mafia of Gotham City. So I would love to see that. Those are all great ideas, and you could really develop this. Like, it's clearly a kind of story that you can, if you just wanted to leave it alone as the Penguin just with one season, that could work. But if you want to continue forward with it and make more seasons, I don't think that's such a bad idea. I would love to see it. Yeah, I would love to see it. But hey, with that, I think we've finally. Is that the end? I think this is
the end. That's the end. Not a lot of DC stuff to talk about today, guys. We apologize.
That's all right. I mean, we still talked about a ton. And we talked about a bunch of DC before we even got to the DCU Daily segment. But with that, though, guys,
now we're going to be talking Marvel. So,
yes.
Tier List Tuesday, we're going to be getting into that soon enough.
Give us like a few minutes. We're gonna go top up our drinks. I'm almost out of ginger ale. John's probably gonna go use the restroom.
Can hear your chair. I'm like, what's that noise? I'm like, I think that's your chair.
It's the microphone. Usually when I use the podcast mic,
fine.
it doesn't.
It's
fine. It's fine. I'll find the cable.
Dan.
You know what I said to the mic stand. I was like, I'm gonna find the cable. I will find him. And I just kept saying it like, I will find him, and then the show started. So I will eventually find that XLR cable for the podcast mic. But
until then, guys, look up, look out, and we are vengeance. We are the night. We are Batman. Thank you, Seth Rogen.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka!